Raina, Raina, rise up, Raina, Raina, rise up, Raina, Raina, rise up, Raina, 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 rise up, Raina, Raina, rise up, Raina, Raina, rise up, Raina, Raina, rise up, rise up, my people, see the morning light. Rise up, rise up, stronger together, Mama will claim our right. Together we strong. Hearts united, hope burning bright. This is our moment, our future in sight. We've walked the valleys, we faced the storm. Still we are standing, proud and strong. With every trial, we've grown in grace. Now time, let us take our place. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. We never tire, no, we never quit. Our dreams are alive, we are made for this. With faith unshaken, our voices sing. Barbados rising, let freedom ring. From east to west, from coast to town, coast to town. Our island spirit will not back down, never down. Hand in hand, we'll build anew. The promise of tomorrow shining through. A better tomorrow, the future is near. Hope in our hearts, no place for fear. God bless Barbados, we'll shine forever. Our turn is here, we rise together. A better tomorrow, the future is near. Hope in our hearts, no place for fear. God bless Barbados, we'll shine forever. Our turn is here, we rise together. We are one, we are one, we are strong, we are strong. Steadfast in belief, in love and peace, Barbados our song. We are one, we are one, we are strong, we are strong. Steadfast in belief, in love and peace, Barbados our song. Go on, lift up your voice, let the whole world know. Our light is bright, it will always glow. Forever bound by this land we love. Barbados blessed by God above.
and good evening, boys and girls. This is the Marcia Week show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. I'm holding in my hand the national flag of Barbados, and you would have just heard the national anthem of Barbados. It's a wonderful Friday evening, October the 3rd. Oh my goodness, it's October, and lots of great people are born in October. That's all I'll say. Well, it's good to be with you on this Friday night. Looking forward to a great show. We have so much that we're going to be talking about tonight. Our topic for tonight, guys, is the cart before the horse. Backward ever, forward never, government. Has been our experience here in Barbados. I know some of you are watching us from different countries, other islands, and we say welcome. And you might be so surprised because I've been talking to people from other parts of the Caribbean, and they just think we have the best prime minister in the world. And they said, can we have your prime minister? She should be the prime minister of the entire Caribbean. Oh my goodness, we need to talk about that tonight. There's a saying that he who feels it knows it, right? So we need to talk about that tonight. But we're going to talk about the citizenship bill. We're definitely going to look at that. We're going to look at the immigration bill again tonight. We're going to review. And we are also going to look at this downgrade that we have, a downgrade in human trafficking. We have to look at that. I didn't even realize until about 2 weeks ago that was a major problem in Barbados. And I'll tell you more about that as we go on. And then we're going to look at the judicial system as well. We're going to, we have Dr. MARSHA HINDS, who's going to come on, and she's going to take a look at that and to show you how those those persons who are in trouble with the law and cannot afford a lawyer, how difficult it really is. And you wonder if they could really get justice. So we're going to take a look at that tonight as well. But I've got to go to the comment section to say good evening, a special good evening to everybody who's joined. Lucinda, Aline, good evening, and Monica Ince and Judy Jukes, Cedric Strawn, good evening, Junie Rock. I don't remember calling your name, Junie Rock, in a little while now. Diana husband, Mildred Ben. How are you doing, Mildred? How are you? CG, good evening. Yes, CG, thank you for that information. Marva Hunt, thank you. Matthew Brown, good evening, Matthew B. Matthew B. Any new songs, Matthew B? Matthew B make up all these rhymes on the spot, Marva Hunt, Marcia, good evening. My namesake, Mavis Lashley. Michael Gills, Lori Bob. I like to say Lori Bob. Lori Bob is always telling me that she's liked and shared. And so we need you to do that. And subscribe. I don't even tell people to subscribe. I must be the only YouTuber that doesn't say subscribe. You know what? I'm so focused on what I have to do when I come on here. I'm not even thinking about that. But you all do subscribe. Right, and you hit that little bell over on the right hand side there, and go ahead, hit the thumbs up for the like button and share. All right, share it now. It's good time to share it in the WhatsApp groups, etc. Cynthia Top, good evening. Cami, yes, happy Sabbath. Sir Alfred Benjamin, all the way from Brooklyn. Alfred, when last have you been to Barbados? When last have you been to Barbados, Alfred? Do you hear they're saying that your prime minister needs to be the prime minister of the Caribbean? Oh my goodness. Marcia Miller, Judy Angels. Yes. Marcia, Sandra Watkins, Andrea Moore, Joyanne, how are you? Alex Ross, how are you? Joyanne, Edwin Pilgrim. Hey, Edwin. Yes. Well, the song was written by a loyal opposition member, actually somebody from the diaspora. We call them dumplings from the diaspora because they're just too sweet. Yeah. Winnie, good evening, Winnie. Good evening, Galbiz. Good evening, Mavis Lashley. Good evening, Eartha Lawrence. Good evening, Samuel Clark. How are you? Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful evening. And I want to talk to you about our next march. Our next march is not tomorrow, will not be tomorrow. The next march is not tomorrow. Who can tell me when the next march is? Dave has it, and I think he can put it up on the screen now. The next march is going to be next week, Saturday. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. We have such an efficient team here. Protest march, immigration and citizenship bills, okay? 2 bills that can change Barbados forever. Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. from Massacre Park, Kensington Oval to Independence Square. Walk back that bill. Now, 2 bills that can change Barbados forever. Why? Let's have this conversation quick before MARSHA comes on. We have about 3 minutes or so. Anybody can write in the comment section why these 2 bills could change Barbados forever. So the flyer was done by Lisa. I'll just say Lisa. That's about, I won't say the last name. Thank you, Lisa. She does all of our flyers and she does a great job. Thank you, Lisa. We're a team. No man is an island, and we don't win. We're not, listen, we work together and on here, okay? And everybody just slot in and they do what we all do what we're supposed to do. And yeah, I just got home and this was ready. So we just thank God. We do work together as a team, and that's why we need you to come out. Now, I'm not going to forget, this is your time for the quiz. So I want to ask you, Barbadians, because when they're already, they cuss me and tell me I'm no Bajan. So I want to ask all of you that's watching, if you're from Barbados, you were born in Barbados or naturalized like me, I want to ask you why these 2 bills could change Barbados forever. CG says, cheapest labor. Explain a little bit more. I think I know what you mean, CG, but explain a little bit more. Voter padding. Now, I know you wrote CG in point form, but I want you to spell it out because I want us to think. I don't want to come on and tell you the answers. I want you to think about it. Or anybody else can add to what CG is saying. Why these 2 bills have the possibility of changing Barbados forever? You might think it might change Barbados forever in a positive way or a negative way. Either way, how could these 2 bills possibly change Barbados forever? Right? Okay, so I'm waiting on a couple more answers here. And Sharon, we're going to deal with some of that propaganda that we see going around. We're going to deal with some of that as well. Good night, Apostle. I know that's you, I think. Thank you for all of your encouragement. Thank you for your prayers over myself and our family. We need the prayers, Apostle Margaret Breedy. Thank you for that. CG, anything else? We're going to come back to this question, right? Pam says the bills are strictly political moves for the ruling party to fill the apathy gap. The change will affect our cultural face. Yes. Yes. Sharon Ennis says that voter padding, as in, ma'am, let them in so they'll vote for her. So you will probably end up having someone as your prime minister for years and years and years, like they have in St. Vincent. You might just end up with that. Yeah. But we're going to go into this, and this is why you need to come out on next week, Saturday. This is your Barbados, and I'm going to talk about some of the cultural issues throughout the show that really bothers me as a naturalized citizen from Jamaica. I'm going to, that one, I mean, keeps me up because I could see where the Barbadian culture is going to be swallowed up if you don't put all the next necessary safeguards in. Okay, it might be a wonderful thing, but I'm saying the potential is there for the culture to be swallowed up. But we're going to get back into this. We're going to get back into this a little later in the program. But we are going to, we have with us tonight Dr. MARSHA Myrie HINDS is with us tonight. And I know we're in for a treat. Get ready, guys. I want you to start sharing, liking, and let's get everybody on. All right. So let's bring her on and welcome her again to the Marcia Week Show.
Greetings, Marcia. How are you doing?
I am doing great, and you're looking so much stronger tonight. And
I'm good. I'm better. Thank you.
I love the whites.
Thank you.
Very
Thanks
nice.
a lot.
Very nice. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, I think that what you are talking about in your preamble fits nicely with some of what we're going to talk about in this segment. And I you know me, I talk about the things I know about, the things I know about. So I wanted to continue to think and talk a little bit about social services in Barbados. It seems as though this is just a perennial bugbear, and we can't get it right. And so I wanted to spend some time thinking and talking tonight, especially about community legal aid. And interestingly, I was listening to the radio today, and I was hearing that community legal aid is actually starting to do some outreach in the community. I think there is a session going on tomorrow, and I would encourage people to avail themselves of the session, to go out and to ask questions,
Yes.
and to take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm just uploading the slides really quickly here.
Yes. Well, in the meantime, folks, once again, welcome. I can see more people have joined, so welcome. And we're going to ask you to like and to share, to send it out to others. Tonight is good. We're just going to keep building. Tonight, keep building, because we believe that this show is very, very important. As you know, on the show, we educate, we motivate, we mobilize, and we agitate. All right. So keep sharing. Go right ahead. Marsha.
Right. So for some reason tonight it wants to stress me out a bit, but let me see if I can. Okay, let me see if I can just do it by sharing the screen.
It's going to work. And while you do that, I was asking the viewers, I actually was asking the viewers if Dave could put back the flyer on the screen. Dave, thank you. And this is a flyer for the march that we're having while Dr. HINDS, she's going to work out some kinks there. But let's talk about why these two bills can change Barbados forever. Sunny, both Sunny and I, we are naturalized. Sunny from the UK, myself from Jamaica. And right away, I know that this is a big issue for Sunny because we are here and we love the Barbadian culture. You know, we get caught up in it, the food and I still can't speak Bajan too well. And when I do it, they say that, Dr. HINDS, they tell me I'm cursing and all these things when I don't intend to curse. I'm just trying to follow what everybody else is saying. But the culture, it's very, very important. And as a Jamaican, I know that I've seen more Jamaicans here than since I've been here in 26 years, and I believe that a lot of them are not documented. Because when you go online and you try to find information on how many Jamaicans are here, you literally can't even find that information. So where are they documented? And we're gonna continue this conversation later, because I want to tell you as a Jamaican, they're not going to tell you, but Jamaica culture don't coexist with nobody else. And if we talk the truth, we know it is. You understand? Marsha laughing. I hope Marsha on here when we're talking about this, because I go and talk on ourselves. I go and talk on ourselves. It's just the truth, right? Especially Jamaican men. We're gonna talk about that, but we gonna come back to this. It's a nice juicy conversation. But we gonna
Can you see my screen now, Marcia?
Yes, I'm seeing it, and we're gonna add it right now.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right. So I wanted to start by kind of just recapping what a social good is, right? So social goods are the things that the state provides as a part of a social contract. And I keep making the point that somewhere along the line, we hear a lot about the needs of the bourgeoisie in Barbados. We don't have a real bourgeoisie class that is governing us now, right? What we have is individuals who have gone to school with us. They've lived in the same villages as us. Some of them are poor or as poor or poorer than we are. And what they do is they use the political process in the Caribbean to be able to accumulate for themselves and their families. So the real kind of wealth that they have is political wealth. And so that's why I call it the bourgeoisie, as opposed to a bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie, right?
That's you coined that word?
That's mine. That's absolutely mine to describe this situation that we have going on in Barbados and the Caribbean. Because it is not a bourgeoisie. Like, to say it is a bourgeoisie would be to suggest that they come out of this kind of high rank in the society, that their families had monies and means before. And if you think about it, and I'm talking historically now, I'm not talking, about any particular person, but even if you think about, for example, like how the Motley name comes to be in Barbadian politics. A lot of that gain was actually made through politics to begin with, right? Like there wasn't anything before that.
I got you.
And so politics is really the wealth that they use for themselves and for the gains of families and friends. And so we kind of don't talk about that social contract anymore, because it's a group of people, instead of carrying out the social contract, they're sitting on the society for their personal aggrandizement. But social goods are things like, for example, citizenship services, where individuals will vote and they pay their taxes, and then they depend on the representatives that they choose to manage the public purse and to carry out governance in the country. So in exchange, then we get things like citizenship services, we get IDs, we get passports, we get birth certificates, and we're supposed to have enshrined rights in our constitution. And we know that we have changed to a republic, and we are yet to see our changes that will go along with the republic through our Republican constitution. So we're still really using the constitution that we had basically before we became the republic. So the social goods are all the things that the state is supposed to provide, including education, including healthcare, including roads. All of that is a part of the social contract. People are supposed to get that from the representatives that they choose and they pay tax to. And the way that the government manages the social goods is that it establishes government agencies and laws.
Now, let me ask you something there, Dr. Hines. Did you want to change are you planning to change the screens?
Yes, I'm gonna go to the next one right now.
Okay, because I was letting you know we weren't seeing the change, but go right ahead.
No, I haven't made a change as yet.
Yes,
so I just wanted to say on this one before we go that the way that the government exercises its power, the way that those representatives exercise their power, is that they are supposed to do that through government agencies and the law,
Yes.
right? It is not supposed to be one individual sitting on a throne and
Mm-hmm.
delegating and directing what is supposed to happen. We passed that with monarchical structures of governance. Now it's supposed to be groups of individuals who, through government agencies and the laws, execute what is supposed to happen. And I think this is an important point to make, because somebody like a Caswell Franklin will tell you how over the last couple of years the civil service has been eroded in Barbados.
Yes.
So the technocrats, the people who had the power of the state through the government agencies and the laws that were set up, find themselves with that power being whittled away. And more, the power is going back into the hands of the politorgesie. And that is problematic, because what it does is that it makes everything in the country is political, cap small p, right?
Yes.
But it makes everything capital P political. Everything has to pass through the mechanism of the party.
So let me ask you a question here, just so that we all are on the same page and we understand what you're saying. So right now in Barbados, most of the ministries, instead of you normally you would have, they'll be run by the civil service. Now you have to go through the minister. For example, even the NIS, it says a minister. So that's what you mean, that it's become political.
Absolutely. Another example was with this very tourism bill the other day. When the public started to cry out and ask questions about the tourism bill, we did not get the representatives from the BTMI. We did not get the representatives from the level of the civil service. We got the minister, who came and tried to talk us through, what really you couldn't talk through, because the bill was the bill was inappropriate. Let me put it that way, right? But those are some examples of how you get everything going through the capital P politics, and the technocrats are constrained in terms of how they do their work. So the other thing that I want to say, of course, the plantation is never far away. And I want to think specifically about how we think about social goods in the context of Plantation Barbados, right? And you know that I feel that Plantation Barbados still exists. That is not historical. So in order to create these deserving and non-deserving publics that we've talked about before, social goods are constructed as burdens, right? So people always want things. They're always asking for things, as opposed to social goods being seen as what you get for your vote and for the taxes that you pay. You are seen now, when you are looking for social goods, as being a burden on the state. And we see that coming through, and we see it very clearly in the way that we treat people when they're trying to access services. So when you go to the polyclinic, you know how you're treated. When you go to the hospital, you know how you are treated. And in the case that we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about legal aid. And when I am talking about these social goods and how we construct them, I'm not talking about the level of people, because the truth is, MARSHA, we know that how much ever times we change the government, these perceptions about people and people being burdens on the state don't go away. Right? I'm talking about the very logics, the fabric that we weave together to construct Barbados, regardless of who is in power and regardless of which social service that we're talking about. The plantation, of course, we know depends on unequal distribution of resources. So there are, 10 or 12 people in Barbados basically who own all the land. Right? And yes, we have seen some movement and some change of that over the years. But the point is, we still don't have a situation where land is equally and evenly distributed across the island, right? And more, you see people with money coming, and the 10 people that own the land may change, but there are one race, there are moneyed people. Usually it is foreign ownership, just like how it used to be on the plantation. So we have that continuous unequal distribution of resources. When we talk about the unequal distribution of resources, we also have to bear in mind this first world, third world divide, remember a certain orange person in the world and the shithole countries comment, right? So not only within Barbados are we perceived as being problematic when we ask for our social goods from the state, but when we ask our foreign partners as well, when we tell them, hey, the way that you have the world constructed, this globalization where you are bringing large companies in, not paying people properly, creating situations where we can't compete on the world stage and that kind of thing, that is also kind of a way that the world is constructed, that our social goods are affected. So it's coming to us from within the country, but it also comes to us from the way that our relationships with other countries in the world are set up. So tonight, what I wanted to think about and talk about a little bit is legal aid as a social good, because I think that legal aid is one of those things that it is there and it exists, but a lot of people probably don't think about it as a social good. Those people who use it, and those who don't really think about it, right? But legal aid is set up by the government of Barbados. It operates out of the Office of the Attorney General. And this is coming directly from their website. And I have the website here so that, anybody can go and look and get more information. I find it so interesting that we are talking about the age of technology. I don't know if you remember when Kay McConney was the Minister of Information and that kind of thing. I today was a little bit surprised and disappointed when I went on the Attorney General's website looking for information about community legal aid services. Yeah. Outside of the mission, I think, and there was one other piece, I could not find anything about the Community Legal Aid Services Department. Why would that be? If we have a Minister of Information, if we have paid all of these, I would assume thousands of dollars to move us onto computer platforms in Barbados, why can't I go to the community legal aid? When I went there, I clicked on, there was something about the organizational chart. The organizational chart brings up the organizational chart for the entire Attorney General's office, right? Like information and getting information in Barbados is a problem. And I really just wanted to highlight that. But I did find the mission statement, and the mission statement is supposed to be to provide high quality services to persons of insufficient means who require legal aid. And I don't know, there was a clip a couple of days ago in the news. We're always asking Dave to stand and deliver on this show. Sorry, Dave. But there is a clip where there were some young men who were charged with a police officer who was on suspension or something like that. And what stuck out to me, I don't know if Dave will find the clip, but if Dave can't find the clip, I at least have this piece here from the Nation News, right? Now, remember, Marcia, we have talked about this before. You have a 16-year-old, and I did not put their pictures here purposely because their pictures are not supposed to be in the public domain because they're still minors. I don't know why we continue to do that in Barbados, but if you have a child who is 16 and you have a child who's 17 and another child who is 17, their picture should not be in the paper. But what has to happen is that because they're children, and because, they're not children, but they're minors still under the law, right? Because we have signed the Human Rights Convention, the rights of the child, every single person in conflict with the law who is a minor is entitled to be represented by an attorney. And there are some cases where families cannot provide that, right? And so that becomes one of the things when we think about legal aid, that is one of the services that we're talking about. Yes. We are also talking about the domain that I know best, which is the family. So we keep talking in Barbados about the family instability and how the family instability is destabilizing the rest of the society. I really feel that the government of Barbados should be telling the people of Barbados how much money in a given year they spend on cases of access, maintenance, protection orders, and property settlements for families that are splitting. Because I want to tell you that legal aid is expending a lot of resource in those areas. And I believe that when I go to the Attorney General's website, those are things that I should be able to find in relation to the legal aid department. I should be able to find charts, financials, which tell me last year, this is how much money was spent by the state representing minors in conflict with the law. This is how much was spent on protection orders, because we don't know how our public purse is being spent. And we don't know the cost of the family instability that we have in Barbados unless we can have those kind of figures available. Right? Now, the reason why I was wondering if Dave could find that clip is because there was one of those children who was making a motion with his hand. And because I am trained in special needs education,
we're trying to find it. Go ahead.
I can recognize immediately that child is a child on the autism spectrum.
Really?
Yes. And so it brings me back to all of these things that we keep talking about in Barbados that are connected. The lack of educational support and services for special needs children in Barbados, who then become invariably the ones who end up in conflict with law, the ones who end up with behavioral patterns beyond, what would be seen as social norms and that kind of thing. Yes. But Marcia, we must then represent them at legal aid because we are creating them. I keep saying over and over, we are breeding the problems in Barbados that we keep complaining about. But this is in the absence of not having the information on the Attorney General's website. I kind of did this out of my head in terms of the little that I know about the legal aid department.
Legal aid, yes.
Right. So it is run by a board, and the board is a board of political appointees. So again, you have that insertion of the capital P. Every time the government in Barbados changes, the legal aid board changes as well. So they are politically appointed and connected directly with the political party and capital P politics in Barbados, right? And I think that these things are important to say because that capital P politics is a part of what is destabilizing the very Barbados that we know or want to believe that we know, right? There is a director, a deputy director, an accountant, a means officer one. And when I say means officer one, I don't mean it in the civil service way where you have one that's more senior than one. I just mean literally means officer number one and means officer number two, right? It's not like, I don't know what their ranking is.
Yes.
And I have it in a hierarchical order, obviously, because all of our social services in Barbados carry that. Director reports to board, deputy director reports to director. But underneath the accountant, I don't know whether the means officers are on the same level as the accountant or if the clerk is I don't know the reporting structure. So this is not meant to show the reporting structure. This is meant to show that, one, we do have a hierarchical structure, but more importantly than that, it is meant to show that we have a community legal aid department that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 officers that are running the community legal aid department in this Barbados, where crime has become, we are going through, I would say, one of the most extended.
Dr. Hines, just a second. We're not seeing what you are. It's only still highlighting the first slide.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know how to fix that. I'm sorry. It's usually when I come in the studio and you give me access, I send it to you as the slides that I am presenting,
and
then I can see it.
Yeah.
But for some reason tonight it's not working that way. I
Okay,
apologize. I
so
don't know how
what
to
you could
say it.
do, if what, because we want to see what you're doing. It's okay. Just go ahead and email it to us, and while I'm going to fill in, right? We're
Okay.
going to fill in as you email. Let me just let you do that now. Um, guys, I think one of the things that I wrote here, as Dr. Hines was speaking, she talked about a social contract that we have as citizens. As citizens, we have there's a social contract. We are citizens. We pay our taxes, and we are supposed to. There's some social services that we're supposed to get. It's part of the
Supposed to.
contract.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, that is what Dr. Hines is saying. Somebody said, "Oh, that sounds like you're speaking about a socialist state, a communist state." But and so that is part of our lack of understanding. Um,
Definitely, because
yeah.
what Barbados is, the way that we define ourselves, for as long as I have done any kind of history or have any kind of knowing about how we describe, how we set up ourselves in Barbados, we call ourselves a social democracy,
Right.
right? And a social democracy is based on, again, the state providing certain social services for the state. That's what that social in
Mm-hmm.
social democracy means. I am not saying a communist state or a socialist state is going into the realm of the state owning all means of production.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Barbados, that has never been our reality on the plantation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about what Errol Barrett did, or maybe people don't know, but the way that he constructed the state is that he made a trade-off with the moneyed classes and the land classes in Barbados. And what he did is that he moved us into peaceful democracy
Mm-hmm.
without a transfer of land and power. So, in other words, the moneyed classes who were at the time white, but who over time have become these politourgeoisie individuals that I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
he let them keep their land and he let them keep the power of their land. And what he did is he provided free health care for every Barbadian,
Mm-hmm.
free access to education. And we were supposed to use our education and accumulate and amass our wealth that way.
Right.
Right. So the contract that sets up the democracy of Barbados is based on there being social goods for the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Let us be very clear about that. That is always and has always been Barbados and what Barbados is, right?
Yes. Yes.
But in terms of the community legal aid, like I was saying, and I'm sending it now so that you can see if you can
Yes.
get it up. But basically, we have these 7 officers, right? And how it goes is that the director of legal aid is responsible for criminal law certificates. So if somebody is charged with the capital offense of murder, certificates involving minors, because like I just said, every child in Barbados, regardless of what the matter is, once that child is going to be before the court, if they are supposed to be represented by an attorney provided by the state. That is a part of their human right, right?
Mm-hmm.
The deputy director, as far as I know, deals with family cases. Now, again, one human being for the 200 and how many ever thousand people that live in Barbados.
What?
That is impossible, but that is what happens. So this department is one of the many departments in Barbados that is simply buckling under the weight
Mm.
of how our state has changed over the years, but how the state mechanisms have not kept abreast of how we are changing over the years,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the question has to become, why is it that we are focused, for example, on a tint law before we are focused on creating a structure for legal aid that can actually speak to where we are in this country in relation to the level of family instability and the level of crime and the level of crime that is involving what you call youth crime,
Yes.
basically, right? Um, so here you have then the two means officers are the ones who, because community legal aid is a means tested service, so you can only access it if you can't afford it. So although every Bajan technically is entitled to receive legal aid, you still have to be able to show that your resources make it so that the state is going to offer you the service. Although that is only for certain services, I would argue. But as long as there is a child who is
Yes.
in conflict with the law or some of the other things that we have to do to meet our human rights treaty obligations, lawyers should really be provided, right? Now, I'm going to go a little further because I wanted to think and talk a little bit about what I believe a 2025 community legal aid department needs. This is only me from my vantage of working with family law. Those people who know murder better might think there are things missing. I'm not suggesting that this is all we need, but I'm suggesting if I had a wish list of things, this is what the wish list would be.
Yes.
Right?
Understood.
I think we have to move it from a service defined model to a client defined model. So in other words, coming out of that colonial experience, like I said, we set up Barbados as if Black life generally was a bother, right? So we were not catered to. The system was there, but we were outside of the system. It was not meant for us. And that is still the same model, Marcia. As many times as we have changed government, as much as we have said Barbados is a this, that, the other, as much as we have turned it into a republic, we are still using that same service defined model from when it was basically white and white foreign individuals setting up these services for us. We have to move legal aid to a client defined model of service, right? So you take every individual person who comes to legal aid and you try to give them as much as you can to help them to rebuild and stabilize their lives, right? It is not easy, but it is necessary because that is the kind of service that changed lives.
Yes.
Right? It is not just who you complaining about, take it and be grateful that you get it. Right. This is the slide here. Sorry, not the slide. This is the video here that Dave found for us.
Yes. Do you want him to play it now or a little later?
Play it.
You can go ahead, Dave, and play it. Yes, with the audio. Thank you.
Pause it right here. Pause it. Pause it.
Pause it, Dave.
You see this youngster here in the blue? See that hand motion? If you play it now and you watch the youngster in the blue and his hand motion, that is a child with special needs.
Go back a bit, Dave. Go back a bit. That's interesting. You know what? I've seen autistic children do that. But go back. Oh my God, this is sad. Can you go back there? All right, play and then again, keep going. Yeah. Okay, play again, Dave. Thank you. Rewind. Right there. Okay, keep going.
So when I see something like that, I'm
Mhm.
not a trained social worker. I'm just an advocate and a teacher who's trained to teach special needs education, right? My question becomes, where are our social services?
So hold a minute, Marsha. You're jumping, you're skipping over a lot of things here. So you're saying, because honestly, I saw it, I'm like, oh Lord, this child sending message to somebody. But now
No,
that you said it, I'm
no.
now seeing the possibility that it could be somebody who's
He's not
autistic.
sending any message to anyone. He's a child on the spectrum. He must be absolutely terrified. He's not supported by anyone. I see police. I see people who are presenting as police, but I don't see anyone who is presenting there as a social worker, as a nurse. That is inhumane. That is problematic. And I saw that and I was like, where are our social services in Barbados? Where are the people who are paid to do these things? He's not sending any messages to anyone. He's on the spectrum and trying to manage his overstimulation in that moment.
Somebody saying that his hand motions were similar to the guy in the brown shirt. There were actually three of them with similar hand gestures, more gang related than signs of autism.
There is nothing gang related about that. I'm sorry.
You know,
Nope.
I didn't see the guy in the brown shirt doing
There
the
is
same thing though.
nothing.
Probably I missed something, Adrian. I would have to check it again.
Come on, Barbados. Come on, Barbados. We are an educated society. There's so much information on the internet. That is not anything to do with any gun signals. That is not any gang signal. That is a young child who is on the spectrum and trying his best to manage his overstimulation. That is what that is. That is no gun sign. Okay? And there is no nurse there. There's no social worker there. There is nothing. And that is problematic.
Wow.
So if we go right, so this is basically the current structure of community legal aid that I tried to put together in the absence of that being absent from the Attorney General's website.
Mm-hmm.
So then if you go to, it's not gang signs. It's not though. Why are we so invested in it being gang signs, guys? Like, it's not. I don't know what the other boys were doing because I focused in on him when I saw him because I knew what I was seeing. So I don't know what the other boys were doing, but I saw that one who was unsupported in the moment. And probably, if we are honest, will not be supported because we don't have supports for children like him in Barbados, and we don't have them before they become in conflict in the law. We have them even less when they become in conflict with the law, right? Let's go to the next slide. So this is kind of my wish list. So right, you deal with client defined and not service defined models. So if you have to change an attorney at legal aid right now, you have to be able to write a letter, a formal like business type letter to request that change and to explain why you want the change. Many of the individuals who interact with legal aid, Marcia, are the ones who we have failed in our educational system, who are coming out barely functional and in many cases not functional at all. We created that. That's our fault as a society that wouldn't fix its educational system. We just keep talking and talking and talking, right? So why would we then now want someone to be able to write a formal letter if they get into a situation where they have concerns over the legal support that they're getting, if we say that the mission of the legal aid department is to provide a high quality service?
Right.
Why can't we just have a form Why can't we have the 5 options of things that you can change an attorney for? And then people can just go and tick, you know, this is the breakdown, this is the problem here, submit the form and have the experts do the work. But of course, you would need more than 7 people within the office to be able to manage that
Right,
properly.
right. So they're not staffed.
They're not
They're
staffed.
understaffed.
They're
They're
not staffed.
understaffed.
And then you have the Prime Minister's office, for example, with a burgeoning staff, and every day a consultant is added. What is happening, right? Now, the legal aid department doesn't employ a single lawyer in Barbados. So the lawyers in Barbados are, I don't know who they report to. I don't know how they're regulated, but whoever is regulating them, legal aid does not have the panel that they have are private contractors or people who work in law firms across Barbados. So what does that mean, Marcia? How does legal aid keep a high quality of service to the clients that it provides services with? Because if I come on your show, right, and I don't know, I do something that you don't like or whatever the case may be, you are not my lord. So you can't you can't discipline me. You can distance the show from what I say or whatever, but there's nothing more that you can do, than that. And I'm saying to you that is one of the critical problems that we have in the community legal aid department right now. It's the same thing. They hire a lawyer, they pay the lawyer, right? But then they don't have oversight and control over the services that the lawyer gives to the clients. And let us not lie. We know that we have complications with lawyers in Barbados, even when we're paying good money.
That's the thing I'm thinking. You're right.
Even when we're paying good money, we can't control them. We can't rein them in. So think of the community legal aid department now, who basically just has enough power to connect a client to a lawyer that they pay, but nothing more. How do you provide a high quality of service, as your mission statement says, in those circumstances? Can't, right? I want to suggest that a part of the problem that we have too, and I can speak now, I'm tucking now into family because that's what I know about the most and not the criminal and that kind of thing. It seems to me like we have a panel of general attorneys. And if a family law matter comes up, we give that attorney. And if, something else comes up and it's still that attorney's turn, we give that attorney. It does not seem to me like we have specialist family attorneys on the legal aid panel. And I have seen, Marcia, where clients in family law cases, I can speak to family law because that is what I know. Yes. People's matters have been bungled because you have an attorney who really doesn't understand and know how to finesse, first of all, a case if it is a case characterized by family instability, gender-based violence, intimate partner violence. Some of them don't care about it. Some of them ain't interested in it. Some of them really just don't know how to deal with it, right? And then there are others of them that are not even that complex, but because the attorney I'm going to say, in my opinion, from what I can see, it seems like this is not the domain that they're accustomed to practicing in on a daily basis.
Right.
Right. And so the client's matter is what suffers in those contexts. So we need to do something to make sure that we have some specialist attorneys who can actually deliver the high quality of services given the needs of the client. Right? If your mission is going to be that you're giving a high quality of service, then you have to have standards that protect and ensure that quality of service. So I should be able to go on the Attorney General's website, and I should be able to see the commitments that community legal aid is making. What makes your service high quality? What are your time standards? If I come to your office to be placed to an attorney, does that take 48 hours? Does it take 72 hours? I can only measure if I'm getting a high quality of service if I have a standard against which to match it.
Yes.
I don't think we as the public have any of that right now, right? Social workers should and must be added to legal aid to deal with that young man
Yeah.
that we just saw, but also in the cases of family matters. When you have somebody who, you know, has experienced the trauma of whatever kind of abuse, before the lawyer can really get information from that person, you need to, for the lack of a better word, stabilize the individual.
Yes.
Otherwise, what is going to happen is that you're going to have legal aid staff who can do the accounting, who can do the means testing, because they're actually sitting down counseling people and trying the best to provide support and that kind of thing.
You know, Dr. Hines Mary, it's almost like I'm listening to you talk, and every time you come on and you talk about you know, social care in Barbados, it's the same thing. Whatever the department, is the same thing. We talk about the attitudes of how we treat each other, like even in this case where 99% of us did not see anything wrong with that child. You know, it's a way how we see things and the way we treat each other. The departments, they're understaffed, everything is politicalized, you know. Everything, it's like it's the same issue regardless of what the department is, really.
Yep. No, you're right. And actually, Leanne, that question there is bang on. You know, like, yeah, no, that right there, I my mind wonders the same thing. Like I said, you know, I'm here trying my best now not to look in these comments, Marcia, because you know how
I
it
know.
is with me. I'm
But
just trying to
yeah,
breathe.
a lot of people,
Because what I am trying to understand is, why are we so invested in it being gun signs that were being thrown? Why are we so invested in that? That is the self-hatred. Go back to what I was saying about the plantation and how the plantation sets us up as the undeserving, them worthless people. This, you're doing the same thing to that young man. It is not no gun signs. You can go
there's
and
a
watch.
video, Dave. There's a video somebody sent. It's only about a couple minutes long. And I know it's probably taking you off tangent, but it's not really taking you off tangent, Dr. Hines, if you wanted to look at it. And they're showing you somebody who is a social worker sending me this and agreeing with you. And they want to show people the autism signs. And I think we can
Of
take a
course,
couple minutes
please.
and look at it.
Please.
But let me let you continue what you're saying, because there's an underlying theme under all of your presentations, and tonight it is coming out.
Yep.
It is, but you continue, please.
Right. So we don't have social workers. I think a couple of shows ago, I was talking about, you know, the fact that there are a lot of places in Barbados where you have these gaps that people fall through. And the community legal aid is one. You do not have a single social worker. How? If you're offering community legal aid services, right, you have a whole set of people in Barbados. Again, we don't do civics at school, and that is by design. So we don't know the law. We don't know how the law is supposed to work. So you have a whole set of people that even when they come into contact with the community legal aid service, they don't know what to ask for. They don't understand what's supposed to happen, what's supposed to, you know what I mean? So you need individuals who talk them through and who help them to understand the system. And I promise you that their attorneys in Barbados are not doing that. I promise you that is not the attorneys. So you need advocates and you need social workers to be able to help to fill those gaps. Otherwise, people just slide through them. There's so many times I see people go to court and sign things not in the best interest of themselves and their children. And I ask, but why did you do this? Oh, well, they tell me to sign it, it can be all right. We are tricking people. Yeah. Still, that's how they used to deal with us in the plantation. That's still how they're dealing with us now, tricking people. when they interact with these government services and they don't have the social work support and the other things that they need. Thank you. Play it, Dave, because and this is the right color too for us to see it, right? This we can see it with this little boy and his color. I'm sorry to say, because
but I want you to stay on that a little bit, because that is at the root of how we treat each other. That is
I'm real glad that he is the color he is, because now we will see it.
Now we're gonna believe
now
it.
we will see it. Yes.
Go ahead.
Everyone, this is Rob, and I'm the father of 3 wonderful boys, all diagnosed on the autism spectrum. And I should point out that autism is indeed a spectrum. Those watching these different forms of stimming or movements may have subtle or wildly different experiences than my 3 sons, and that is totally fine. Having said that, from our experience and those we talk to in the autism community, we feel that most people on the spectrum will at least be able to relate to 1 or 2 of these stims. If you don't know what stims or stimming is, it is a form of self-regulation or stimulation. If you think of times where you've scratched an itch or sneezed, those were both in response to your brain communicating that you have a skin irritation or some foreign particles have entered your nasal cavity. Stimming is much the same. It is a response to stimuli or thoughts that are high sensory in nature. As we go through this top 5 list, I am going to assign labels to the type of behavior, but in no way is this meant to mock or belittle the behavior. Rather, we want to help form a sense of understanding, education, and memory retention in the viewer, with hopefully a big dose of empathy. Most of the footage you will see is of my youngest son, Alistair, because out of our 3 boys, he's the one that exhibits these behaviors the most. Also, as we go through this list, please let us know in the comments if you do similar stims or something different altogether. Number 5, spider fingers. So you may have noticed many people with autism like to move their fingers in such a way it looks like a spider crawling. This is probably the most common behavior we notice in all 3 of our sons and many others on the spectrum. As you can see, from my oldest to my youngest, all of them have exhibited this behavior, and usually it's a sign of having mild sensory input, typically from one noticeable sound source, flickering light, something on the TV or iPad they're interested in, etc. A lot of times this stim will take the form of one-handed clapping, which sadly I don't have a lot of footage of, but it's also very common to see people on the spectrum exhibit this behavior. Sometimes they refer to it as hand flapping or fin flapping because it looks like a penguin or dolphin fin moving back and forth. Whatever you choose to call it, this is what the stim looks like. Number 4, hand trumpet. Now this one can take different shapes. At times it may look less trumpet and more trombone in terms of how the hands are moving. But we notice in most cases one hand is pressed firmly against the mouth and the other has a different motion, such as hitting the other hand or the fingers open and shut in a cadence motion. This stim is pretty tame, but having said that, if any hand movements become extreme or very repetitive, it may be a sign of overstimulation, and you may want to get your loved one to a calm, quiet place. Of all of the hand stims, this one is, dare I say, the cutest. Every time Alistair does this, my wife and I ask how our little trumpeter is doing, and he'll come over and give us a little hug. Number 3, bird wings. This next stim also involves a lot of the arms, but notice how the elbows are bent and the hands hang loosely out, resembling a bird trying to take flight. I've heard other people call this different things, such as wing flapping, but it's all the same deal, and it's usually when the person on the spectrum is getting really excited by something. For our 3 boys, it's usually a result of an activity they love participating in, rather than an annoying source of stimuli. Number 2, head or neck tapping. As you can see, this one is pretty self-explanatory, but I should mention, at least for our kids, this happens when they've had a lot of stimulation and may need to take a break. Even if the source of that stimuli is something they like, such as a video game or educational activity, too much of it can lead to a sore neck, fussiness, or even a full-on meltdown. Fortunately, in our case, this hasn't reached levels of needing any kind of medical attention. We still monitor the behavior, just in case. But I mention this in the event that you may need to help your loved one who may take things too far. Number 1, chest pounding. This last one looks similar to the movements a gorilla would make when posturing. The hands are clenched tight and the autistic person beats their chest. Sometimes they may hit their leg. Generally speaking, this one shows the person on the spectrum is either really enjoying the moment or activity they are in, or they are getting really upset and need a relaxing break. Alistair is the only one of our boys that has shown this behavior, and the audible thud sound it makes can be alarming. But similar to the last stim we mentioned, he's never caused bruising of any kind, and he almost always does this when he's very happy about the source of stimuli, such as this Lego coaster. I'm aware that some people on the spectrum feel pain instead of elation when swimming this morning.
And I want to play the video of them coming out of the courthouse again, so that hopefully now we can see what we saw.
Right. And we literally have about 10 more minutes in this
That's
segment. But
okay. I am willing, if it
yeah,
stops people from if it makes people see that young man differently, then I'm
yeah,
all right with that being the
yes,
only thing that I did today. That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Just the
Because
same. Yeah.
we keep criminalizing young people in Barbados who need help. They need help. They don't need jail. They need help. Right? So Dave, if you could just play it one more time, and then let's just focus on the young man in the blue. I don't know what the others are doing, and I'm not interested. I'm looking at the one in the blue.
Keep playing, Dave, please.
Anyway, Marcia, just to wrap everything up, the next slide after the wish list for the community legal aid. So they need the social workers, the public engagement and training. Like I said, there's a session tomorrow, and I hope that we see a lot more of these sessions. This is one of the ways that we are going to enable the parents, the communities who need help the most to be able to connect into it. We shouldn't only look at our judicial system as a system of punishing people, as a system of being, punitive towards people. If we're going to have a society that is affected by crime, people need to know their rights. They need to know it from all perspectives. They need to know it from, somebody whose rights might be infringed, but those people who are in conflict with the law, as much as we don't like to hear it, they also have rights and should have the same access to engagement and training so that they know and understand how to cater to the needs of their loved ones. You'd asked me a question about human trafficking, so I had just put
before. Don't rush that part. Don't rush that part, because I see Mr. BABB coming in, so we're going to hold this for a little longer, right? Okay. But I was just saying in terms of this particular topic, because I know he's coming in, so we can talk about the human trafficking.
Okay.
But I want to engage you for even a minute.
Yeah.
And the people calling, why you don't give Marsha an hour? She's been on here from an hour now. So Kim Tay don't come for me. It's 8:13 and she came on 8:16. Don't try me. They love to come at me. You need to put on her on for all the time. She was on here long. She have another half hour, okay? But we're switching. So give me a break. Edwin Pilgrim said, would Dr. Hines wish to comment on how 4 very young boys could be charged alongside a 45-year-old police officer for the crimes mentioned? Just take 2 minutes on that.
I think that this is another feature of our system that I've complained about before. Remember that this was one of the issues with government industrial school. The children were highlighting the fact that, there were some concerns around what were supposed to be the safe adults. Time and time again, we see that playing out in Barbados. The adults who are supposed to be the safe adults are the ones who are traumatizing and victimizing our children. And it happens within all aspects of the social services, not just the police. Yeah. There have been lots of complaints and concerns over the years about the Child Care Board, officers of the Child Care Board. These are open secrets in Barbados, Marcia. So that doesn't surprise me, because that is a pattern that exists quite extensively in Barbados.
And I think a lot of people noticed his age when you saw the ages of everybody, and then he was 45, and you wonder what is going to happen there. But this is something that we're going to have to keep talking about, these kinds of things. And we are always happy whenever you call on me. Can I come on? I know it's going to be something really good. And tonight was very educational on this particular point. But today we saw in the newspaper that there was a downgrade. And everybody's wondering, downgrade? What is this downgrade? Right? And so before Dr. Heinz Myrie starts, we want to look at the actual date. If you have the actual article, and in you can put it up. In the meantime, let me use this opportunity to welcome Mr. BABB.
Hi.
Welcome, Mr. BABB, to the Marcia Week Show.
Good night to the lawyer opposition. Good night, Miss Hines. How are you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm pretty good. Just a long day, but I rushed to make it to the show. I
Thanks for
saw
being
some of what
here.
you were. I follow some of what you were doing, saying on as I travel home. So I'm thanking you for the information that you're giving to us. I'm a teacher, and we
Mhm.
see some of these things in schools, but a lot of teachers are not trained to handle these situations. And when they're in schools and you have so many different personalities, how can a teacher who is responsible for getting a CSC syllabus ready be equipped enough and have the time enough to deal with these students?
Yeah,
So I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention.
of course.
Yes, yes, yes. Most definitely. Dave, while Dave is getting ready to put up the article, all of us would have seen this downgrade and cause a lot of people to be like, downgrade? What kind of downgrade is this? And I just want to read a little bit, if Dave would make it, yes, so I could make it a little, so I could read everything on the actual page. But we all woke up to this morning. Barbados has been downgraded from Tier 2 to the Tier 2 watch list in the United States 2025 Trafficking in Person report, while U.S. officials warning that the country has failed to make sufficient progress in the fight against human trafficking. Now, I know that I read this panelist, and I'm starting human trafficking in Barbados, but then I remembered something Zico told me. But let me read on. In a recent report, the U.S. State Department noted that while the government of Barbados is making significant efforts to tackle the issue, it did not demonstrate overall increasing efforts compared to the previous reporting period, a key requirement to maintain Tier 2 status. As a result, Barbados joins a list of countries now being more closely monitored for backsliding in their anti-trafficking measures. The State Department's annual report is considered one of the most influential global assessments of countries' efforts to combat trafficking in persons. The government of Barbados does not fully meet the standards for the elimination of trafficking. Despite making significant efforts to do so, it did not demonstrate overall increasing efforts compared to the previous reporting period. Therefore, Barbados was downgraded to Tier 2 watch list, the report stated. Now, if I could say this, that only 2 weeks ago, I think, not even 2 weeks ago, Mr. BABB and Dr. Myrie, that Zico, who was former gang leader, he said to me, Marcia, are you aware that in Barbados there are lots of Venezuelans and Colombians here? And I'm like, huh, what do you mean? He says, well, they are very involved in prostitution. And, these are young girls, and they were brought in, and they're involved in this kind of thing, and so on. And so he was educating me and saying how it's connected to the organized crime. And, he was telling, but it still seems so far-fetched, to be honest. And so I think this is something that is going to be very interesting for us to touch on, especially when we see the link, Mr. BABB, to the immigration bill and to the citizens bill. There's a connection to this all. But let me let MARSHA, who this is her area, to lead in this, Mr. BABB, and then I'll ask you to jump in as we go along. Is that okay?
No problem, because there's some questions we want to ask. But just as I was about to ask you some questions, there's a further reading down here about downgrade follow a series of NIST benchmark in areas such as, Ms. Hines, go ahead.
The government did not initiate any trafficking investigations or prosecutions in the reporting period, and has never convicted a trafficker under its anti-trafficking law. No trafficking victims were. Is that where you are? No trafficking victims were identified or assisted making the third consecutive year of no victim services reported. Officials did not provide any anti-trafficking training to first responders, including police officers, and made no efforts to draft or implement a new national action plan after the last one expired in 2023.
Oh,
Joyanne behaving bad in the chat. I love it. I love it, love it. Check Joyanne at A18.
Joanne says downgrade, not under the BLP. Only the DLP gets
Joyanne, come to
downgrade.
the front of the
But
class.
this
Right
downgrades that we had under the DLP was one of economic nature. But this is about people. And it appears as if the agency in the United States is accusing the government of knowing that there are human trafficking happening in Barbados and are doing nothing about it.
So what Barbados thought is that it could get away with doing what it does with domestic violence. We do not collect statistics on domestic violence in Barbados. So therefore, it does not exist because we don't have any figures about it. So if you go back to the point 2, it basically says the government is not prosecuting anyone, right? They're not holding any figures. They're not writing any reports. So they're using the strategy that has worked for gender-based violence. Don't talk about it. Pretend that it doesn't exist, and then it doesn't exist. But the states is saying no.
Or don't talk about it, and it don't, or like the attorney general who says it is according to U.S. law. That's the excuse he's offering.
Well, I mean, human trafficking. I mean, Barbados is a society that was created as a society of human trafficking. We know that,
Right.
like this is as Barbadian as cuckoo and flying fish. We know that, right? I just wanted to very quickly go through because I never assume that people know. So if you give me that slide on human trafficking, I will bring us up to speed in 2 minutes about what human trafficking is. Human trafficking is a form of gendered violence. Now, the way that we have silenced women in Barbados is that as we talk about gender violence, the next thing you hear, we are unfairing the men. Unfortunately, in the real world, that doesn't work like that. Gendered violence is violence that is experienced disproportionately by women and girls by the virtue of the expectations that people have about how they are supposed to be able to use the bodies of women and girls. I will say that in the context of boy children, the world over are also being affected by gendered violence because of the unequal power relations. So, you know, you can hold a boy in a household to do care work. You can hold a boy as a sex slave. So although I'm saying it is gendered violence and accepting that it disproportionately affects girls and women, I'm also flagging to us, parents of Black boy children, that our Black boy children are also vulnerable to human trafficking. I did call it what it is. It's right there on the slide. It's a type of modern day slavery where people are forced into sex work and care work. And we think about the sex work when we think about human trafficking, but we don't think about the ways that people are also brought into homes to offer domestic services. So to be maids, to be caregivers to elderly and young people, all of those are jobs that you find people who are swept up by human trafficking doing. And the people who are human trafficked are not free. They don't come and freely negotiate the terms of their employment, and they're usually coerced in some way. So it could be that their passports are held on to. It could be that there are threats made against the family of the person or threats made to turn them over to the authorities. So that's basically kind of like a quick overview of some of the elements of human trafficking. So you talk now, Marcia, about like not being able to connect and think about human trafficking in Barbados. So let's talk about it, especially in the context of us opening up our borders. right? Because you know there are some secrets that we have in this society. Everybody knows, and yet still nobody knows. If we go to the next slide, right? Let's think about rip the band-aid off now. You remember that discussion we had in Barbados one time about how the Barbadian men love the Guyanese women. Everybody wants a Guyanese woman. They in business with the Barbadian women. The Barbadian women do this and that and the next and the third. Really, what it is that because of the levels of poverty in islands such as Guyana, St. Vincent, Dominica, Belize. You see what I'm doing here? You see what I'm doing? Follow me closely.
Wait, say that again, Marsha. You always come on mashing up with it. Say that again. You hear where she's going?
Yes.
You gotta stay with me. You gotta stay with me. If you blink, you miss it.
Take us slower, doctor. Come in, wheel and come again.
Because of the levels of poverty, in some of the other societies within the Caribbean, like Dominica, like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, like Belize, it makes those societies vulnerable to human trafficking from a place like Barbados, which we know is one of the points through which human bodies are moved from the same countries that I just talked about through Barbados, sometimes with the promise of moving from Barbados into the global north, so Canada and America, right? So what will happen is that these individuals will go into those societies, or sometimes they use dating apps, sometimes they don't physically go, and they look for individuals who they can befriend, trust, build a connection of trust, and then target, right? Now, Marcia, you stop me if you are not comfortable, because I have not come to put anybody in trouble, but I can tell you unequivocally, given cases that I have worked on, given seminars that have been done, United Nations and that kind of thing, there are specific professions in Barbados that are connected to human trafficking. I can tell you the specific ones if you want me to, and I won't if you don't want me to say.
You can, because we're not mentioning any names. We can say what they are.
It is known in Barbados that the human trafficking in Barbados is legitimated and upheld through the defense force, the police, the customs department. And interestingly, I don't know why this one ALWYN would have to tell me, but through some teachers as well.
Hold a minute. You're gonna have to wait. Hold a minute. So you are saying, because niece, I'm serious, because I am trying to understand it, Mr. Bob. You're saying that through your research that the human trafficking in Barbados is being upheld and upheld is a word?
Upheld, practiced by, facilitated by
defense force,
customs,
police, and teachers. Explain. You have to explain.
So basically, I have worked with and met clients that when you talk to them and you work out their story and how they moved from where they were and they're in Barbados now, those are the individuals that they refer to. That is what is happening.
That helped them to get here.
And so then you understand why we can't investigate it.
Oh, so that's why there's no, the US is saying there's no reporting, there's no conviction, but that would actually make sense.
But if I know what I know, obviously the US knows. They have more intelligence than me, and they're talking to victims the same way that I am talking to victims. So if I know that, the US knows, right? So that is why the US, we do this thing. Our government does this thing where they will come out tomorrow now, and they can they will say, oh, the US is raining down on us, they're beating up on us. they're using intelligence, which we also have on the ground in Barbados. Like we know these things.
I love it because listen, my neighbor probably going to tell me the same thing you're telling me. There's intelligence right here. We're just not using it. I love it.
Absolutely. So this is why it is a well-oiled and established machine in Barbados, but a machine that is also not going to investigate itself, right? Don't forget, I'm going to invoke this human being again because this is something that also bothers me. We found a whole woman in Barbados deceased, and up to now, the police have not been able to come back to us and tell us who that individual is.
Wow. Because
up to now.
If you're saying, based on what you're saying tonight, that these, our defense, customs, police, teachers, these are also, how are they? They're not going to want to report. Let me hear Mr. Bob jump in here now, man. This is serious.
Yes, because if a government is agencies from USA that monitors these type of things is saying to the Barbados government that but you're not reporting, you're not investigating, there has to be a particular reason or reasons why you're not going to touch it, because a number of people will be embarrassed, a number of professions will be affected.
Yeah. That's the problem that we have in Barbados. We need somebody that will come and guard the guards. That is one of the major problems that we have now. And it goes back to what we were talking about. And people will say, no, that ain't true. We just had a conversation about the connection between a suspended officer and young men.
Yes.
Right? We just had this conversation. Like, let's link it together, guys. Like, come on now. Like, let's link it together. Right? So this is the kind of thing that is happening. And we know that it is happening. We just don't have the will yet to deal with it. Right? So the other thing that I want to highlight here in terms of why we keep getting that downgrade is that this goes back now to the legal framework, which is why I made a little bit of an ado about it at the beginning. I said at the beginning when I was doing the slides that the government gets the legitimacy to be able to manage our social services through law. Remember, I talked already on this show about the lacuna that exists between NGOs that deliver social services in Barbados and the fact that they're not regulated by any law in Barbados.
Yes.
So the one of the pillars in the fight against human trafficking right now is supposed to be the shelter run by the Barbados Professional Women's Club, right? But there is no legal framework establishing shelters of any kind in Barbados. So you have the government saying to the United States of America, our response is that we have a homeless shelter, and our response is that we have the battered women's shelter. But go back to what I was saying about the legal aid department. You don't have any standard of services or anything. So when they are collecting their surveillance and they had somebody who had, a misfortune in Barbados and they're in the homeless shelter and they're telling them the stories that we know about exist in Barbados, of course they're going to downgrade us. Because our services, our social services are not ready. They're not even ready to help our own in Barbados, far less when people are trafficked from other societies. So we open our borders now. So I am asking a question because I don't know the answer, but I'm asking a question. We talked about legal aid and we talk about human trafficking. And we talk about the fact that Barbados has an obligation to provide services to people who find themselves human trafficked in Barbados, right? Is the legal aid department in Barbados now going to offer legal aid to victims of human trafficking when we open our borders? You see why we get him downgraded? You understand? Because I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if you know it, Marcia. I don't know if you know it, ALWYN. But when we talk about this downgrade, it is not a pie in the sky thing. It is exactly connected to what we have been sitting on here talking about tonight.
Yes.
Right? And in order to address human trafficking, right, the government response is a major part of deterring human trafficking. So if you have these huge gaps in services in Barbados, this is what the United States is highlighting when they're saying that we are now downgraded. So the downgrade is a legitimate downgrade. It's real.
Go ahead, Mr. Bob, because the Attorney General is saying, well, you know, that's American standard, and it's
he was trying to brush it aside.
Brush it aside. But I mean, what does this really mean for Barbados? I
heard a discussion as well. I was just and some people, and this discussion about open borders has taken off in communities. And if the Prime Minister thinks that she coming and being nonchalant and a matter of fact in her address, and people are not concerned, she has another thought coming. Or passports. A question was asked: would those persons who are given citizenship be eligible for Barbadian passports? We know the strength of our passports, and there was a discussion. Said a lot of those persons will use the opportunity, like some are doing now, to get hold of a Barbadian passport so that they can get to some places where they can't originally from their country. So what effect would that have on our ranking, our passport ranking, once this becomes the norm?
Yeah, you know, before Miss Mary comes in there, someone sent this to me. They said one of my work colleagues in China told me that the Barbados passport was a very strong one. Up to then, the concept of a strong passport was a foreign one to me. He explained that the Barbados passport gains us entry to over 100 countries without visa or just visa on entry. It's something that we Bajans take for granted. Even in the US, a Bajan passport is more likely to gain entry than a Guyanese or other passport. This strength is now at risk if these bills become law. And I can tell you something that I know for sure. When I go home, Marsha, there's so many Jamaicans asking, Marcia or Miss Weeks, you can help me to get to Barbados? I hear the dollar strong. You know, so this is a place that they want to be. And what I'm saying is this free movement, the country that will be most impacted out of the four, right, is going to be Barbados. And look at what the US is saying already, and they didn't have this free movement instituted yet until October 1st. And the US is now on October 2nd or 3rd. This is being put out. Okay, so can you imagine what is going to happen? Because people want to come here. I'm going to show you something on the wages, a little later in the program. But let me throw it over to Miss Myri Hines.
No, for me, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think everybody knows that I am a regionalist, and I think that, you know, we have to integrate in CARICOM if we want to survive. But what I am not for, what I'm not supporting, is political gimmickry around what are serious issues, right? If we had fixed the government industrial school, if we were providing legal aid services to all who needed them in Barbados, if our hospital was at the point where, you know, we could offer healthcare to every individual, if we had land resources distributed in such a way that all Barbadian families could get a proper house to live in, and that you didn't have 20 and 30 people living in one unit in some housing areas, if we had the level of jobs and industries to support opening Barbados, I would be all for it. If we were a little further along in our discussion about gender-based violence when women in Barbados face it, if we had better mechanisms to deal with family violence when Barbadians face it, I would be like, yes, we are now at the point where we can share and carry our duty in CARICOM, but we're not there. And a lot of people think that, Trinidad's decision not to be one of the receiving countries or not to participate right now, a lot of people think that that is about money, but that is not only about money. Trinidad right now is struggling with their own social
Yes,
fabric
they
and
are.
trying to keep it together, right? And
Excellent,
so they
Marsha.
are not in a position. But when you have human trafficking that is happening already in this society and is not being addressed, and you open borders and open and expose vulnerable women and girls to I'm gonna just say it, to predatory behavior, we are going to have a problem. We are going to have a problem.
Yeah. Mr. Bob, there's so many things I want to say right now, as somebody who is also a regionalist. How could I not be, love living in Barbados here, but I want to say that, and I said it on the show before, and I know the Jamaicans who are listening, who are real and honest, would know what I'm talking about. The kind of Jamaican, how am I saying that right? I don't want to, because I'm from ghetto. All right, I'm from ghetto. That's how I grew up. And I know some people might think I'm looking down on people, but I've lived there 26 years, Marsha, and I can tell you the different types of Jamaicans that I'm seeing coming in terms of skill and uh yeah, let me leave it at that. I'm trying my best to find the right thing to say, because when I go home and I hear somebody who doesn't have a job, just lazing around, and they want, even family members of mine, I don't even look at them in terms of wanting to come to Barbados, because I know Dave and I look at each other, that's trouble. And when I look and I see my fellow Jamaicans who are like that in Barbados, I worry. My husband will tell you. And I'm saying we don't even realize what we are doing. And the thing about the Jamaican culture, as I was saying at the start of the show, Mr. Bab, is that the Jamaican culture is a culture that, generally speaking, don't really coexist with nobody else's culture. And you just have to look at the world and see. I'm in Brooklyn and I see this long line of white people standing up to buy jerk chicken, Marsha, and oxtail. And Jamaican bami and all of these things. And I was at one point I was getting annoyed, like, what you know about jerk chicken and jerk? What you do eating our things? That's how it kind of felt at first. But the culture, look online, look on social media, everybody now is cooking oxtail. The culture is like that. And having lived here, and I am also Barbadian, I do worry about the Barbadian culture. I do worry that we're not strong enough, we're not established enough in our cultural identity. And I really worry about that. And I know I'm throwing this in the human trafficking because but it's something that is of real concern to me. And the reason I brought that up really is that because I think that out of the four countries, the country that is going to be affected the most negatively is going to be Barbados, because you're going to find that people are looking for greener pastures and they think that it's here. And so this is where they're going to come. You're going to find in Jamaica, we call it a lot of bandula. They're going to do all kinds of things under the table, all kinds of things to get here, because this is greener pastures. And so that's where you're going to get more of the human trafficking, more of all of that, because the dollars are stronger here. The passport is stronger. Everything is stronger. So they're going to head here. But I forgot who was supposed to talk. Is that Mr. Bab?
No, I want to pick up on a point that Heinz said about political gimmickry, and I'm saying that we just before this came, we were told that there was a number of polls happening around Barbados. I'm sure that in the next election, that there will be a swing, and usually against the government. How big is that swing? We don't know. But if the polls are showing something significant, and we have a situation where the pollster is saying on the program that usually when you have this great number of persons coming in to support the incumbent government, we have had, we can more or less come to the conclusion that some of this is to mitigate any major swing against the incumbent. Probably.
Interesting. Marsha?
I it's not even just it's not the hard crime that is the most concerning to me. It is the rise in family instability and hopelessness that concerns me, because we okay. So one of the things that I had, let me put in points as I remember them. We have a Bureau of Gender Affairs in Barbados that stopped functioning a long time ago, and a part of that is because, the Barbadian men and their, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, fragility. So, Barbadian men have in their mind that they're some of the most oppressed and downtrodden men anywhere. And instead of having the national conversation and guiding the dialogue, the Bureau of Gender Affairs has just stopped talking, like it has gone silent. But when you understand the connection between traditional gender norms and human trafficking, then you would understand again why we're being downgraded. Like, we have no national policy on gender. We have no national policy on human trafficking. Like, these are the things that the United States is highlighting to us, and they don't have to tell us. Like, we know, right? The other thing that I am going to say here that the audience is probably not going to like, you probably not going to like it, Marcia, but it is true. If you have a suppression of homosexuality, you can't talk about it, you can't be it, people persecute you, then you find a young vulnerable boy, you take him to your house, you take his passport away, and you basically live your life behind closed doors away from the society. So in a way, some of our very attitudes as a Barbadian public are what makes it unsafe in the context of human trafficking for people. I'm not saying that these conversations are going to be comfortable conversations. I'm not saying that they're easy conversations to have, but we're not doing anybody any favors by pushing it on the ground, right? The individuals who are purchasing sexual services in Barbados are the individuals that have money to do it. And invariably that is not, I'm not saying it. Yes, it is some of the working class in the society, but it is also some of the middle and upper class in the society who will then, come and make us feel that nothing can touch them and they can do no wrong and that kind of thing. Like, a lot of the recipe for disaster that we have in Barbados now is that instead of having national conversations, instead of being honest, instead of being frank, we just pretend in Barbados that the things that we know don't exist, that human nature isn't what it is, that you know what I mean? So the gender, the very fractured gender relations that we have in Barbados, the conversations that we are not having, all of that is what makes it a perfect disaster. And yes, it may drive hard crime, but it is definitely going to drive the intimate partner crime and crime against children, and going back to the days where 14 and 15-year-old girls having sex with men 65 and 70 for school money. Those are the parts of it that really worry me, because when you're talking about human trafficking, that's really what you're talking about.
Yeah. But Mr. Bob, where do we go from here? Because when you think about even this whole issue of human trafficking and the way Dr. Hines, Mary Hines broke it down tonight about with the different countries, and you can definitely see the possibility there. And you wonder also, why did it come out
At this time.
at this time, as soon as the free trade, you understand, the
In
free
Norway,
movement of people, there is a somehow it feels that there is a connection.
there is. There absolutely, it is a recipe for disaster. You don't have to be the brightest and the best to see that. It is going to get worse before it gets better, if it ever gets better.
Wow. But Mr. Bob, where do we go from here?
I think this is a signal to the present government that more dialogue, especially in applying or these type of decisions to our society, needs to happen. We also had some professionals, a group representing professionals of lawyers, doctors, who queried the readiness of our country for such a move. And now the United States is saying to us, these things need to be fixed before you're going to take that step into opening your borders.
Mm,
Subtly, they're saying that. So it says to me, and it says to this government, against the backdrop of so many other bills that they had to pull back, that they're not having enough dialogue with the persons and the professionals, people like Dr. Hines, and those persons who can guide them in making these decisions before they actually make them law. It is just like this rush to do everything by 2030. Is that the deadline?
why they're rushing? But let's even look at what is on the screen here, because it's not just people like us on here complaining about this and asking questions about it. Not that we don't love our Caribbean brothers and sisters, but we're finding that even the professionals in the country, we're talking about our lawyers, their accountants, you're talking about architects and engineers. They are concerned about this free movement and wondering what is going on. Why didn't we get the memo? So it's the article here is saying organizations in Barbados which represent professionals are expressing concern about the CARICOM single registration of professionals, which is the SRP, which was supposed to be implemented on October 1st as part of the CARICOM single market and economy, CSME, free movement of skilled labor. While there's been no definitive word on whether the SRP was actually implemented, it allows for professionals such as lawyers, architects, engineers, and accountants to register once with a competent national authority. The registration would be recognized across participating CARICOM member states. However, the organizations are charging that laws would have to be amended in individual countries in order to allow for this. On October 1st, the Barbados Bar Association wrote to the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries advising that the commencement date was not possible. It also pointed out that what was contained in Prime Minister Mia Mottley's address to usher in the full free movement among Barbadians and 3 other Caribbean countries was counter to the SRP. It stated last year the regulatory and professional bodies in Barbados were approached and advised by BCSI on behalf of CARICOM that certain professions were prioritized and identified for the initial commencement of the single registration initiative for CARICOM nationals, including architects, accountants, engineers, health professionals, and attorneys at law. We were informed verbally at these consultations by Mr. Timothy Odle of CARICOM that the commencement date for the single registration of professionals was slated to be October 1st, 2025. In the view of Barbados Bar Association, no such commencement date is possible, if at all. Okay? And without me reading all of it, the point is that it was just something that was said to them. But the reality is that in each country, if, for example, a lawyer, and we heard it from Attorney Corey Greenidge the other night, he was saying this whole thing that professionals can now travel between the 4 countries and work, it's nonsense, because a lawyer will have to sit an exam, the bar. an engineer will have to meet those standards within each country. There's national certification or registration that is still necessary. So that is not, it's not possible. When you're in Canada and doctor, and you read something like this, what's going through your mind?
I've got so many questions. Like, I've really got questions because the bar, and this is just like, this is me now going way off script and just like thinking aloud, right? But the bar said that it is not possible for a lawyer to just, come and set up a practice in Barbados, basically, is what I'm seeing there.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, what really stops them? Remember, we had a conversation in Barbados on Finished, where there was an attorney, a very prominent attorney in Barbados, who challenged the bar about paying bar fees. And I want to say, I feel like I remember the person prevailing, right? In my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, so I could be completely wrong. Like I said, these are just, I'm thinking aloud. I thought that the Barbados bar was more like when we are trying to get justice in Barbados for attorneys that do all the wrong that they do in Barbados, and you go to the bar, you get a million reasons why they cannot help you to keep these attorneys in line. So is it that the bar is a regulatory body that can make someone come into Barbados to set up a legal practice, adhere to some regulatory standard of theirs? Or is it just that if I have a friend who is willing to admit me to the bar in a little formal ceremony with my white hat and my big black robe, that is how I get admitted to the bar? Like, that is a question that I'm not asking answers. I am genuinely asking, what would stop an attorney from, let's say, St. Vincent or somewhere else? Do they now even have to be admitted to the Barbados bar? Or because we have opened, it is that you know, in those three countries, you just approach the court? Like, it's a very interesting, I don't know the answer, but it is very interesting. Likewise, if I guess with the architects and engineers, I think I know or understand that even when they finish UE, I think there's an exam or something that they have to write to then be able to practice. But I don't know, like, do lawyers do that? Like, I think when you come back from Trinidad, you do a little ceremony, like I said, with your black coat, whatever, and you are at the bar.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know.
It is, but what I found, I was reading up on it today. As I said, we're not lawyers. As you said, we're not lawyers. But what I found, Mr. BABB, was that that there are what they call national licensing requirements that have to be met before practicing in another country, even though it's CARICOM. So that's that all professionals, lawyers, architects, doctors, though they can move freely, right? They can move freely. So there's freedom of movement. The issue is in the practicing. When you're now going to be able to practice your profession, there's a national licensing requirement in each country. And so that is a piece that is not fixed. That's what
I'm saying. And by virtue of that not being fixed, there's nothing that stops me from coming here now and setting up my practice. Like right. It is I wouldn't be breaking the law as I understand it. So let's look at NGOs, right? Which I've been saying for the longest time, do not have a regulatory framework. There's no law. So maybe I should go now to Dominica and set up a homeless shelter, because it seems like it's a very lucrative business. If you're looking there down Bridgetown, looks very lucrative, this homeless people shelter thing. So maybe I should go and set up one in Dominica. Maybe I should go and set up one in St. Vincent. What stops somebody from St. Vincent coming to set up one in Barbados? Like, the structure is not there. It's not that I am not 100% supportive of free movement in CARICOM? I am, but there needs to be structure. And if there isn't structure, then you just have chaos. And it sounds to me like what we have right now is chaos.
Yes. Well, Miss, I know you were supposed to be with us until about 8:15.
Yes.
Then we push it to 8:30. I look and it's clear 9 o'clock. And I'm so sorry because I know you had to leave round about this time. So
Yes.
we have pushed it. But please don't stay away this long. I feel like we need to go into this human trafficking thing a bit more, and create some good trouble. So you and I are going to talk, and we need to go into it because it's almost that thing, Mr. Bob, that they tell you don't touch that one, don't touch that one. But we're going to do some digging on the show, okay?
Thanks to Justin for giving me that comment. Thanks for Justin for that comment to close me out tonight. Your audience is amazing.
What he said?
Go back to I don't want to spoil it for you. Go back to yes.
We can do
Airbnb, Dominica too.
Justin, good night. Justin. Good night, Marsha. You gotta come back.
Always good to hear you.
Yeah, we have to get into that a bit more. But we have Apostle here, and we're going to go with him for another half hour before we open the lines, because I want him to come in on now. And Dave has something just before he comes in, so we can close this up. Oh, Dave had an important thing there on the screen. Dave, you removed it. Dave, no. Okay, so Dave, you have this on, and then there is just as I introduce Apostle Scantlebury, we have a comparison chart of what you call it, not salary, but you know what I mean, in the Caribbean. Okay, I lost my train of thought there.
Your professional fees?
Yeah, actually, Dave, you know what I'm talking. I don't know, the word is just not coming. And just put it up for me, please, Dave. After that, but what Dave had on the screen was just confirming what we're saying, that lawyers, they do have to pass the bar in each country, right? So that is what has to happen. So with this, as Marsha is saying, we don't know if something is going to happen under the table to make it happen. As Dave is looking for that slide to put up, let me welcome Apostle Scantlebury, the Apostle Scantlebury. Welcome, sir.
Good night.
Good night to you. Good night to you, Madam Weeks, and great to be here. Mr. Bob, it's always good to see you.
Good night. Yes.
Yes. Well, Apostle is here, and we have on this, our banner says from visitor to voter, Barbados democracy for sale, right? And if we look on the screen, I'm going to turn off your mic a little bit. I think it's giving a little feedback. But if we look on the screen, and we want to go into discussing this a little bit here, it says why Caribbean workers might rush to Barbados. And we're talking here about minimum wage, okay? Because you do have some skilled laborers, but we're talking about here minimum wage. Minimum wage in Barbados is $10.50 an hour, right? US $5.25. In Belize, it is $5 Belize dollars an hour, which is US $2.50. Let me move this banner because I want us to take a look at this Barbados and think about this. Dominica, EC 750, that is $2.78. In St. Vincent is $2.78. In fact, I think it's a little less in St. Vincent. So here's the question here. Do we think that workers, if you are a worker in Belize and Dominica and St. Vincent, where would you be going? You realize that you can get some social services will be free, education and health is going to be free. You can stay as long as you want to stay. After 6 months, thereabout, you can get your citizenship. Where you're going to go? I want the people in the comment section to begin to think about this. And Dave, if you go to the bottom of that, it says, let me just read, because at the bottom it says, higher wages in Barbados could attract workers from lower wage CARICOM states, raising fears of labor competition and wage pressure. Do you agree with that? And the question is, I have enough questions. Do you think that the Prime Minister and her cabinet and her advisors made a decision to increase the minimum wage for Barbados to attract these people to Barbados? Do you think the minimum wage of Barbados is actually doubling, or almost doubling, or more than doubling these Caribbean islands? Is it that this was deliberately done so that we would have, we are going to stand heads and shoulders above the rest of these three countries? We're going to get that 80,000 people that we need. Don't mind, we might crash the social system, but we're going to get them, and we're going to get them in time for elections. So I have enough questions in there. What do you all think? Let me bring the Reverend in on this. Apostle Scantlebury, can you open your mic and go right ahead?
Let me just say this first of all. I'm not certain. I am not certain what's happening to Barbados in terms of our government or administration. I mean, well, maybe I should say this. See, I grew up in the day, at home when Mr. BABB will probably talk about this as well. But over here we had somebody at our home called the cabinet, and in that cabinet they had all kind of different, cutlery and teacups and saucers, and you were convinced that this was fine china, and my mom would never let us touch it. She would clean all of them herself, and you grow up and one day you get the chance to clean it. You realize this isn't fine china. It has plainly on the bottom of the saucers and the teacup made in Taiwan. So so this isn't fine china. This is not fine china. And it's amazing that we have very intelligent, educated persons in Barbados that would allow this administration to function like this without an established constitution. And all of these things that are happening in Barbados, all of these things that the government of Barbados is moving forward into, they are a serious breach of the Constitution of Barbados. Whichever one they have, whether they call it amended or not, it's a serious breach of our Constitution. It's a serious breach of the rights of the people of Barbados to not have anything go to referendum, for them to be not actively involved. We do not know who we are opening our doors to. And as you pointed out there just now, in terms of the money, the fact that the Barbados dollar is still pegged 2-to-1 to the US. Barbados has always been the go-to place for CARICOM nationals in terms of work and in terms of being that kind of financial breadbasket for their families. We've had a great season of having Guyanese artisans come to Barbados and work, and have them to come to work on our land lease projects and stuff like that, and many of their families have benefited from that open door. But to have this done, and the other thing that I want to bring up here is to have this exercise coincide with your birthday. That is ridiculous. Okay, that itself is ridiculous. So we've gotten to the point where this administration and our current leader is just doing whatever she feels like doing, whatever they feel like doing, to forward and to fuel the vision that they have for themselves. And I look at this over and over and over, and I'm saying to myself, you're going ahead, you're opening up Barbados. Obviously, if you have individuals that are coming and you can have citizenship in 6 months, I mean, we don't have a constitution that actually can allow that. Okay, and this is where we need the judges in Barbados and the key lawyers in Barbados and the key persons in Barbados to step up to the plate and let this prime minister know, you cannot do this. This cannot happen in Barbados. Okay? And we can't be fueling elements that are suggestive of us being an already established republic without a standard constitution. You cannot be fueling and doing projects on this level without the framework, without the foundation to actually move forward into it. I guarantee you this is going to spell issues for Barbadians going forward. Okay, because I can tell you that there are persons that are going to come here and they're going to be willing to work for less money than what Barbadians should be paid. Okay,
say that again, Apostle. Say that again, Apostle. That is what CG was saying.
This is very, very important, because I know that for a fact. You know, individuals are going to come here and they're going to take jobs and they're going to work for less money that Barbadians should standard as far as compensation is concerned, what Barbadians should receive on a daily basis. And it is already happening, Madam Marcia. It's already happening in Barbados. And this situation is going to make it worse. Now, the other issue is that I know you can't go anywhere in the world, spend 6 months, become a citizen, and vote in that country. Okay? So if you're looking at this system, let's just say in 7 months from now, we have a snap election, okay? Because now all of these individuals that possibly have already been given leverage, because let's go back and look at Kaduma. You did not know that the government had paid for 65 persons already to come here as influencers for Cropover. You do not know who the government has already paid to come into Barbados. You do not know what has already been set in place with these other 3 nations. You don't know what agreements have already been set. You can see that there's already been agreement with Ghana, and you have great proliferation of workers and nurses and individuals who are coming into the island. You want to look at these things and see what's happening. Now, the other thing that I know for sure that is being played out, especially with the countries that are a part of this agenda, I know that these countries are very heavy in the demonic. Okay, I know these specific countries are heavy in the demonic, and I can promise you that what Ms. Motley is doing and her administration is doing is trying to ring Barbados, especially with demonic levels, so that they can have they can move forward to influencing the upcoming election. So it is very clear, Madam Marcia, that this plan that they have, the church in Barbados needs to get up and they need to stop blessing this administration, and they need to start praying against the plan and the strategy that I'm seeing it for myself as a leader, and I'm not in agreement with it. I'm not in favor of it. I understand, and let me say this, I was going over this in my mind, and something came to my thoughts about this. If our tourism sector is doing so well, why would you have to do this? Okay, this is literally setting Barbadians up to lose jobs and to no longer be viable enough to work in their own country. Because I guarantee you that employers are going to employ those individuals that will accept a lower pay, because it is even a lower pay in Barbados is already better than their highest wages in their own country. So something is going on here in Barbados, and I think the time has come for the key individuals in Barbados to really stand up to this administration, stand up to this government, stand up to this leader, and say, no, these things cannot be done and they should not be done, because Barbados does not have the current foundation. We don't have the infrastructure to handle this. I mean, this is also going to come in, is going to hurt our already struggling healthcare system. I mean, what are these people sitting behind the doors of Parliament and actually thinking? These are not clear thinking individuals. Somebody is pulling their strings and they're responding to whoever the puppet master is. So I think Barbadians have got to come to a place where they wake up and realize that they have to make a statement. They have to stand up in their own country and say we're not going to allow it. And I guarantee you, if there is enough pushback from the people of Barbados against this, they'll stop it.
Yeah. Mr. Bob, when you saw, I know we have the flyer there, but Dave, we're going to get back to this flyer. This is our protest march that is going to happen on October 11th at 10 a.m. from Massacre Park to Kensington Oval to Independence Square. And we're going to be dealing directly with the Citizens Bill, because these two bills can change Barbados forever. Immigration and Citizens Bill could change this beautiful country that I've come to call my own as well forever. But when I saw the Shafet poster flyer, I was saying to Miss McLean, it's probably not real. Because there was a spelling error. It's a Friday instead of Friday. And, I'm very particular with these things. And once I saw that, I dismissed it, that it wasn't real, only to get up this morning to hear Shafet is saying it is real. It's just that they're not building a Shafet constructing a Shafet in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, they're recruiting skilled individuals, as though we don't have them in Barbados, to work here in Sheffield. As a Barbadian, when you saw this and it was not confirmed that this is what they're doing, Mr. Bob and viewers, I want to hear the viewers give me your thoughts. What thoughts went through your mind?
My thing is that you see the wage, there's so much wiggle room between the minimum wage for countries that we are going to have a problem with low wages attracting people. Because if I'm working for $250 at home US and I can get $350 or $450 in Barbados, I'm coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the problem. And I never hear Shafet say in previously that they were having a shortage of problem with workers, that they were understaffed. I saw now the police saying that they're looking for close to 300 persons.
The police?
I saw something about recruiting 200 something. I saw that somewhere today. Are looking for.
You're telling me that they are doing this now to fill up the police.
Yes,
sorry.
300 how is that? Yes.
To fill with non-Barbadians in the police service?
So because if those wages because our police wages are here low compared to what Bermuda is offering for 5 years as an untrained person, but it's probably higher than what those 3 other countries are giving theirs. So I'm saying that we are going to hear some other shortages in workplaces that we've never heard before. And we should be concerned about that, because it means the gap is so wide between what in terms of minimum wage that they can offer below what we're getting and fill in those gaps that they more or less would not be able to do so, because we demand as people to be paid for our services and the work that we do.
Wow. So this is why we're saying that Barbados is going to change forever. I've seen, the Prime Minister being plastered on, news media throughout the Caribbean that she's the new Michael Manley. Look at what she's done. They're saying that she's opened up the place like the European Union, what the European Union did. And, that's a whole lie, because it's not the same as the European Union.
But Marcia, if I am living in my country and I'm finding it difficult to survive,
mm-hmm.
and here is that a Caribbean leader has come to my rescue, what do you expect me to say? But I told them when they saw the postings that when y'all get here and have to live, because usually they ship out their money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to make Barbados home, be prepared for the type of suffering that we're having at this point in time. But in comparison to what they're going through, they're seeing her as the person who is allowing them to get out the situation that they're currently in. So you will see those comments.
Right.
You will see those. Expect them. I was not surprised that they're saying that, because she's more or less given a lifeline to other Caribbean countries who are having a difficulty catching up and with Barbadians.
Right.
And so I'm not surprised. But we as Barbadians who are living here currently, so they should hear from us.
Yeah, they should. I know, because Apostle, if you know anything about the EU, it's not only about free movement of people. You see, but it's an economic and it's like a political union, right? So while this is mainly about free movement, with the EU is very different. They even have, the kind of social services that are being offered under the EU is much more than what is being offered. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because that is what is being touted on social media and all over the Caribbean, that Mia Mottley is making the Caribbean, creating this European Union. And she should be the leader of the Caribbean, but it's not really so, because we're still very nationalistic. We have our own, even with the professionals. When you look at the professionals, where they can't operate they're not going to be able to practice their profession in another country. And look at the disparity in the minimum wage. However, she's been praised all over the region that she's making EU possible. But it's nowhere. The only similarity is the freedom of movement. Any thoughts on that, Apostle? Let me unmute you.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Well, first of all, in relation to what Mr. Bow was saying, this is already your swing vote. Okay. Because in 6 months from now, these are the people who are going to be saying, oh, wow, if it wasn't for Mia Mottley, this wouldn't be possible. So an election comes around, the citizens, that's a free vote. Okay. So you can see the setup. You can see what's going on in the minds of the people behind her, because this is not her idea. This is the idea of someone who is a political strategist.
Yes.
This is the idea of someone who's a political strategist. I'm not going to call any name. And there's a difference between being Michael Manley and behaving manly. Okay. So
sorry.
So we've got to understand.
Listen, Apostle, you said that and move it. You know, did you all hear that?
Smooth like silk.
That's smooth. Mr. Apostle said it. It's not me. Don't come for me. Apostle said there's a difference in behaving like being like Michael Manley, or that. Say it, because see, I can't say it.
Well, I said there's a difference between being Michael Manley and behaving manly.
Being Michael Manley, I'm writing it down, going on my social media. There's a difference in being being like Michael Manley and behaving manly.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, we're looking at these issues, and here's the thing. Let's look at the area of culture. What is stopping individuals from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, from Belize, from coming to Barbados and wanting their own carnival?
Yes.
Okay.
But that is what is done even in Canada. That is what is done in the United States. They do it, they take over.
Exactly.
But Jamaicans, who take over like Jamaicans? Who going to come over here and take over? First of all, you not going to be cooking no more cuckoo if you leave it up to Jamaicans. because they don't like cuckoo. Jamaicans, I love cuckoo, but Jamaicans and who don't like cuckoo. I am telling you, the Barbadian culture is not strong enough. I'm going to let you get
Okay.
back to your point. But if I have to go, I this is something I would go into Parliament to talk about, the culture, because I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
The Barbadian cultural identity is not strong enough. We are not at the stage to be able to open the doors to all and sundry. And worse yet, Jamaicans, our culture is very strong. It's overpowering. We go to Canada and we take over. We are in New York and we take over. We're in Britain and we take. Everybody want to talk like Jamaicans. You know, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of scary at the same time. You know, but back to you, Apostle. This is my pet peeve. So I took away your time. Go ahead.
That's all right, ma'am. You know, and I just want to look at these things because this obviously shows you that there was no thought about this where Barbadians, where the culture of Barbados is concerned, where the future of Barbados is concerned. You can see that there's no thought going into this. This is all political. It is 100% political. I've never seen, speaking on the correction, I've never seen a campaign launched by Shefet on this level in returns of recruiting. There's so many individuals out there in Barbados that I believe are in need of an opportunity. And we don't see this happening. And it's amazing that on the heels of this, that you can have, you know, companies in Barbados that are just almost like in the wings for the 1st of October to come, so that you can have this you know, this massive launch around the Caribbean. And they have to understand that they are part of the plan to hurt Barbados, not to better Barbados. And, you know, unfortunately, we don't have the type of strong pushback from, you know, if it wasn't for like your show, Madam Weeks, and the marches and, you know, key individuals that are speaking out. But something's been happening to desensitize Barbadians to the issue of what's going on. I was talking to a gentleman and I said to him, I said, I'm going to put a scenario to you, and I want you to tell me if I appear to be sane. I said, if I and we were talking about the Constitution, and I said, if I said to you, I want to modernize my office, and I want you to help me put my old computer desk out, and we put the desk out, and then the following morning, when you come by my office, there I am cleaning it off and asking him to help me lift it back in because I haven't done my new desk as yet. Then in the evening, I said, okay, I need to put it out because, you know, as I said, I'm changing up, I'm modernizing. So I need you to help me put the desk out. You come back the following morning, there I am standing the desk off and getting ready to put a new stain on it. And then I said, later on, I want you to help me lift it back in. The next morning you come, I want you to help me. So sooner or later, you will have to realize that I'm talking about modernizing, but I'm not modernizing. Okay, something is interfering with my psychology. I'm moving on a very crazy level, and this is what is happening. The activity, Madam Weeks and Mr. The activity of our administration does not say these are sane people. There's something critically wrong with their psychology. There's something wrong with their physiology. Their behavior does not match, their decision-making machinery does not match sane individuals. Certainly not individuals that have common sense and individuals who have wisdom, who have and thought these processes out before they're acting. And Mr. Stewart said it absolutely well. Put the shoes on, now you want to put the socks on. And that's basically what's happening. And I think the time has come for Barbados to get up, make a decision, put a stop to this before our country goes any further down the drain.
Yes, Apostle, and I'm glad you made that point about same people, and we gotta be careful of mad people in large groups making life-changing decisions. And Marcy, remember they talk about the emblems no longer representing our country.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. And
I,
and
I,
she
I always write these things and keep them
yes.
because
Go
they're
ahead.
linked.
Finish that point. People listen to Mr. Bobby here. This is a
So,
very good
so when you
point.
hear the talk about changing the emblems, and if you're making a decision that will more or less
Oh
change
my
the
God.
whole landscape of the type of people and how we are going to look in a couple of years as a nation, then our emblems, which is part of our Barbadian history, will no longer reflect, according to you, what we are now and what we're going to be in the future. So when these people bring these things to you without having, and you wonder why would they go to interfere with our history, then you see why. And I always ask the question, why are we not included in decisions such as these? Why you don't come to the people and have dialogue? Because this will change us as a nation forever. And you keep making these coming up with these bills and these laws and these decisions that interfere with our livelihood as we know it.
As we
And we
know
don't
it,
have a say.
I don't have a say. And it's not just our livelihood. I don't know. I can't explain it more than something, apostle, that God has given me for Barbados. The part of this that touches me the most is about identity. And I asked Dave to put up this passport on here. And I think what it is that as I became a naturalized citizen of Barbados, Mr. Bob, I must have brought over the same patriotism that I have for Jamaica. That's the only way. Or it could just be something that God has put there. Because but over the last couple of days, I think about things like this. I think about identity. I think about, and now that you're talking about the emblems, I think that's so deep, Apostle, what he's saying about the emblems. Because when you think that not even our own prime minister, of all the prime ministers at the UN, apart from those who were in their actual national dress, I saw Ghana in their national dress, everybody had their flag, not our prime minister. And I think it is a part of somebody, Tyrone said, she's become a globalist. You listen to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and they addressed the UN and talked about their country. And Trinidad and Jamaica talk about Jamaica, not this Prime Minister. So it's almost like there is an agenda to rip from the souls of Barbadians their identity, who they are. And this Barbados passport you see on the screen here will not mean anything. It will not carry any weight. For all you know, we don't know if after all, when they start to change the culture and all these people start to come in, whether their countries will ban this passport. There are Africans right now that are selling opportunities to come to Barbados to have children so that they could get a Barbadian pass. Their children can have a Barbadian passport. This that you see on the screen here, Apostle, it matters to people outside of Barbados. It matters to Africans. It matters to Jamaicans. They want to get here. And so I am saying, what are Barbadians going to do? What are we doing about this? Is this something we had no say in it? We're now being told that this is what it is. And the last thing I'll say, Apostle, before I turn over to you, is that it seems to me that this was carefully planned. They planned it in Dominica to raise the minimum wage in Dominica. I have been reading the Dominica news. Dave, if you could put back the passport there for me. The Dominica news. However, the business community in Dominica pushed against it. And they were not able to raise the minimum wage in Dominica. But the plan is, remember, we just got our minimum wage raised in 2024, last year. It was raised and they thought it wasn't high enough and they raised it again. Is it that it was raised so that we could accommodate the influx? They knew they weren't going to come in, and so they made a campaign decision. This is a decision for elections. because Barbados is going to benefit the most. And this occurred, Apostle, under the chairmanship of Mia Mottley when she was chairman of CARICOM. And when she was, after she resigned, or when she, she gave up that because it was only for 6 months, and you now had the Prime Minister of Jamaica, then she gave him to announce it. She let him announce the bad news. But today in the press in Jamaica, she is taking the credit for the transition, for the freedom of movement. She's taking the credit for it. And so this is all a plan by Mia Mottley to expand her power and to hold on to power. All of this, all you've got to do is to look at the minimum wage, look at the disparity, look at when it was changed. Why did these four pull away from the rest in CARICOM? What is it that they want? Very interesting. I want to hear Apostle on all of that. My heart is full.
I'll tell you again, Barbados, I think Barbados's passport is so powerful that there are over 100 plus countries that we are allowed to travel to, that even other Caribbean territories, their passport doesn't have that kind of power. Now, there's a section in the first part of our passport that says, and I don't know if Barbadians understand this, but in terms of being detained or being obstructed, according to what is written in our passport, we travel in the name of our president. If you would read your passport, clearly states that the bearer of this passport must not be restricted because we travel under the name of our president. We travel in the name of our president. Okay? And a lot of passports around the world, they don't have that kind of power, where their citizens travel in the name of their president. Well, actually, the old passport says in the name of the Governor General. Okay? You probably want to check your passport and you will see that. It actually says that we travel in the name of the highest ranking official in our nation. We travel in the name of the Governor General, or right now we travel in the name of the president. So the Barbados passport is very, 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 very strong, and it's very, very sought after. And I remember when I was on the show, I was explaining to you that one of the nurses in England, when I was there earlier this year, she told me that that's what was happening. As far as the Ghanaians are concerned, it's a passport scam, okay? Because some of them are already traveling with Barbadian passports after being here for 2 years and so on. They're already doing it. And she explained to me that what they realize is that Barbados is being used, and the government is allowing Barbados to be used as a stepping stone between England, because they cannot just come from Ghana to England, but they can come from Barbados with a Barbadian passport directly to England, and it wouldn't be an issue. So this is part of the scam that we have going on. Now, I want to go back and to say that the whole issue of the increase of the minimum wage, that was on the table for years. But you have to ask yourself, how is it that within less than a year ago, you can have, the Minister of Labor come and present this just like that? No referendum, no nothing. We just want to present it to you because it's all a part of the deal. It's all a part of the plan that they have going forward. And it is not Mia Mottley's plan. It is the plan of whoever is advising her leading up to the next election, because they have to maintain, Ms. Mottley has to maintain control of Barbados for as long as she can, because she cannot afford to be out of government, out of office, out of power, because too much is going to be exposed once she loses the government. So they have to do everything within their power to make sure that come next election, whether it's through fraud or whether it's through some form of manipulation, but they have to make sure that we take Barbados again leading up to 2029, which is from my studies, a global plan leading up to 2030, into 2032, into 2035. Okay, and they have to be in power for all of the transition of the people who control the world, who they're working with, and the folk who they have working with them to carry out these agendas. Unfortunately, Barbadians don't know about it. We just see the headlines, we just get hit with the changes, but we do not know the deep-seated root work behind what is going on to undermine Barbados, to undermine the people of Barbados, and to make sure that it is hard for Barbadians to live free in their own country. And somebody has got to wake Barbadians up to help them understand you're going to eventually be living here, and you're going to be forced to do jobs and to do work, because the companies here are going to overlook Barbadians. They're going to say, no, we got to pay you that amount of money per week, when we can pay somebody who would gladly do all of that work for a less amount of money. And this is what's going to happen. So it's going to put a strain on our educational system. It's going to put a strain on employment. It's going to put a strain on healthcare. You're going to talk, Matt, we haven't even talked about how you're going to be collecting NIS. You're not even talking about whether these folk going to end up having to pay sewage tax as well. You haven't discussed any of that. It's just a huge political ploy. And of course, we have the right leaders. And this is one of the problems, before I stop, this is one of the problems that we have in the world today. We have all of the right, wrong leaders in position that will carry out all of these agendas to show that they're not about the people. They're not about the people of their nation. They're about prestige. They're about being a part of the elite. They're about being a part of that 1% or that 10%. But it's not really about the people being able to live well and to prosper in their own country. And that's what we have before us right now, Madam Weeks. And at some point in time, the people of Barbados must wake up and realize their livelihood and the future of our island is being undermined by the very person who said, give me the vote and watch me.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a message here, Mr. Bob, that I need to read here, and I'll make a point and then turn over to you. It came in WhatsApp, and it says a fundamental question which has to be asked is this, Barbados. What legal authority, let me move this as I'm reading. What legal authority provides for the issuing of this free movement initiative? Has anything been passed in Parliament? So far, it appears that the Prime Minister unilaterally implemented this initiative. No mention has ever been made that it was out of a cabinet decision. So far, this seems to be a mere motley initiative. And I'm saying this on the show, and if I am wrong, come and tell us. Come out and do a press conference and tell us that this was brought up even in the cabinet. So forget, you're talking about a referendum and talking to people. Did she even tell the cabinet? Did the cabinet just heard about this on the when it was announced by the Prime Minister of Jamaica? I am sure that her political strategists, they would know about it. And I saw a viewer put something up, and I've been saying that today for a couple of days. Remember, the same political strategists that this government BLP has, the BLP Barbados Labour Party has. I can open my mouth wide and say it. The same strategists that they have is the same ones that Dominica has. Dominica's government has been in power for how long? Isn't it 5 terms or going into 6 terms? And he is determined that he's not going to let go of the reins. And we're going to have some Dominicans on Sunday night, because they're going to remind you of these people and their intentions. That is why you will see Wickham comes on and he's smiling and said, well, you know, I mean, if Motley brought in the people are going to vote for Motley. It is a plan. And they went around and did a poll. He went around and did a poll. They are preparing. And what it is, it's a very narcissistic decision here, because it is supporting her ego and keeping her in power. It's a power thing. It's an ego thing. And those same people that are behind Dominica are behind Barbados. Dominica's election is due in 2027 and Barbados is due in 2026. Dominica, he did not get through with the with the minimum wage. It didn't happen, and he announced it about 2 days before the October 1st. And the rest of the citizens were laughing at him because they said he was only raising it for the people who are coming in. But you know what? They did not allow it in Dominica for it to happen. Now, ours was raised twice since Motley's been in. Almost double, more than double the rest of the region. Well, though not I don't know the rest of the region, but those 3 countries, right? So I think that is something that we have to watch right there. That's all. That is a power grab. And I really hope that Barbadians will do the opposite of what they think is going to happen. Go ahead, Mr. Bob.
The point that you made, the question that what you read just now, I saw a comment which says that when this announcement of free movement was made on the 1st, but then there was a note saying they said that the legislation now has to go to Parliament the next week. So that person has a legitimate point. That you get an announcement from the Prime Minister that has not come through Parliament, that something has been instituted in Barbados. So that person has a very valid point. But I'm saying that I see a skillful way or a skillful plan by the Prime Minister to more or less vote pad. After 2 terms in office, yes, you're going to expect some major shifts in terms of polling. And I'm saying more or less a plan to mitigate those that shift against you. So if you can get those people coming in large numbers, being attracted by your minimum wage, which is twice yours, then they are going to feel loyal to you. And we know one of our main supporters confirmed that you will happen. So I said that they're planning not to lose the government, even if Barbadians decided that we're going to come out and the swing is big enough. This will help mitigate against the swing factor at the polls. So we have to watch that, because if a government that is creating fear in our community, if you have to fear your government, that is not a good thing. We have teachers who have issues but are afraid because some of them are still temporary, are not appointed after working 5 and 7 years, and they are afraid. I think that it is purposely done to keep them, because they keep them in check. So you have people who have issues, burning issues, but they're not fearing the government. I am saying that what we have seen, the government is really afraid of you. And that is why you see those type of laws and these type of decisions being made, because they're actually afraid of the electorate. So I'm saying to us as a people, don't allow a false sense of fear because you think that they're going to fire me. If you are a voter in Barbados and a worker, and you believe that I have a concern and I'm afraid to speak up because the government that I work for is going to fire me, then we have to get rid of them. Between 2008 and 2018, everybody talk about anybody under the sun. And here we are in 2025, afraid to speak our mind. We have to do something about it. And I'm saying that it is not our fear. They are afraid of us. And what the power that we have, that we can carry to the polls and do to them. And that's what you're taking. They're not taking any chances.
Yeah. This is the more you think of this, and this is why, Apostle, we are saying to people, I don't know if Dave could put this back up. As far as I'm concerned, I just keep hearing the theme, I am a Bajan. I am a Bajan, because that is going to be something that is going to be so important in the next couple of years, people who are listening, to hold on to your Barbadian identity. Just look and see what's happening in Europe. Look at what's happening in Europe. Is that what we want to happen to us? Is that what we want to happen to us? Look at what is happening in Europe, where they're trying to hold on to their identity. And some people are calling it racism and so on. That's why sometimes when you're further away from something, you can say what you want. But there is nothing like knowing that Barbadian, you have that feeling, Mr. Bob, and you want to keep that. You want to keep that. That is not, being, you don't like people from the other islands. It's not about that. And you couldn't, but Andrew Holness know why he could not do it. You think Andrew Holness could have done that? Not at this time. Now, but we had a thing by this poster here. So this is a poster, but we had a thing there, Dave, with Mr. The pollster, what he was actually coming out of his mouth, and we want to play that again. You had that up, so I was telling you to play that one first. Thank you, Dave. Yes, that one. Thank you. I know we didn't take any call tonight. I promise you we're going to do that Wednesday, but we needed to get the. Oh, Dave, it's gone. Okay, we have to hold on, he says. But gentlemen, go right ahead. Oh, he's there. It's there. It's there. Go ahead. We can't hear.
The local population, in many instances, they consume products and services. So as a result, they will spend money. So if people are earning and there's a growth in the economy, there's a benefit all around. And I think generally those are the issues which are good. The fears are, that people will take over, they will take jobs away. I think a lot of those fears are not necessarily reflected in terms of the actual outcomes. Invariably, people who come to work in islands invariably will come to do things which the local community either does not want to do or is not able to do in sufficiently large numbers, like construction, where you don't have a sufficiently large pool of construction workers. I believe the numbers are going to be hugely different to what we would have seen before. And what I think happened more recently as the Barbados Labour Party came into office, and their attitude towards migration seems to have changed, and the singular market and economy, is that a number of people have been coming forward and saying, look, I'm here. So let me register national insurance, and you provide opportunities for people to be legitimately resident in the country, and they're doing so. It doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't resident before. It's just they were resident illegitimately. They were working under cover of darkness, and now they are essentially able to go and apply for national insurance card, or Social Security, and make contributions and things of that nature. They're industrious, generally more industrious.
Okay, I don't know if we played the right one. I wanted the one where he was saying that they're going to vote for the prime minister. Is the one that the clip I had wanted. But go right ahead, Apostle. Yeah. Okay, we had to mute you because there's a noise on your mic. Go ahead.
Okay, so listen, it's absolutely clear what's going on there. I don't know what's wrong with that brother. I do not know what books he's been reading at night. I have no idea what he's been watching, because you can clearly see that he's just talking from his head. He doesn't have any statistics to back up nothing that he's saying. Okay, and the reality is, I would say this: if I were the president of or prime minister of Belize, and St. Vincent, and Dominica, I have just demonstrated that I should not be leading.
Correct.
Because if I am going to go into an agreement with a leader of a nation that is pushing for global notoriety, and I'm going to go into an agreement with her, and her country went to republic without a constitution, okay, have not, since the election in 2022, they have not formulated a constitution for their Republican status, their republic status. And I am going to go into an agreement with someone whose country is not on a firm footing as a leader of another country. There's something seriously wrong with my head. There is something that is seriously wrong with my head. For me to go into an agreement of this nature on such a huge level, an immigration bill where my people are moving from my country, and I'm being offered, because really when you look at this, this is not a movement between nations. This is an open door to Barbados, to all those other countries. Okay, you're not going to get a Barbadian waking up tomorrow morning and saying, oh, you know what, I want to move to Jamaica. I want to move to Dominica. I'm going to move to Belize. This government is going to pay people and set things up for people to go there and for things to work out to make it look like it's working. I can guarantee you that. That's their modus operandi. Okay, so just a few people that they're going to say, okay, you need to make this look like it's working. So here's $30,000 or $40,000. We're going to talk to some people over there. We're going to set you up, and we're going to make it look like it's working. While at the same time, you're going to have this influx of individuals from those same countries into Barbados, because the issue is Barbados. The issue is making sure that because her popularity in Barbados has dwindled, the idea is to get enough people in Barbados to give them back the government come the next election. It's a very sick, very demonic strategy, but unfortunately Barbados have to put up with it. And you will have individuals like Mr. Wickham, that would make these statements to make it look like, this is a great move. This is a serious, very sick and very outrageous move by the government of Barbados. But sooner or later we'll see, because as they say, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see how the integration with the influx and what companies are going to do, and whether or not eventually we will even have individuals in Barbados suing companies, because of not being selected. And you'll see what's going to happen here. We had a situation years ago with one contract with one construction company here, sue the government over the fact that they didn't win the contract. We'll see what's going to happen here with all of these things that they're opening the country up and saying, okay, this is going to be great. People are going to come, they're going to work, they're going to be well. He's saying that we don't have enough workforce here in Barbados. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? About the amount of young children that are leaving secondary school in Barbados. You're telling me that we don't have the kind of workforce here? No, what we have is actually your companies and owners of companies that don't want to pay Barbadians what they are due. That's the problem that we have here. And unfortunately, we have a government that supports that type of activity. We'll bring in cheap labor for you and allow you to make top dollar while exploiting people, exploiting our own people, and also exploiting Caribbean nationals. You wait and see what's going to happen, man.
Yes, yes. Dave, thank you, Apostle. Dave, can you play? I think this is the correct one.
These people would have been given comfort by the ABLP, and as a result, they would have supported the ABLP in elections. This tells me a lot about what is likely to happen in the case of Barbados, where you may have large quantities of people moving in and settling. And that really is the reality, that they are likely to support the government that was in office when they were given the opportunity to move and reside. Because generally speaking, people look comfortably on a government that has given themselves and their family comfort and a start. And for this reason, my sense is that is the likely impact, because the requirement is that they're living, but there's no requirement or presumption that the person is living legally. So the threshold that you have to reach to become a permanent resident of Barbados is far
Yeah.
higher than the threshold you have to reach to become a legitimate voter in Barbados, based on the fact that our electoral laws allow people who are living here from the Commonwealth to participate in elections if they've been living for a period of months before the election is called. And that is something that a lot of people don't understand. And that essentially sets the stage for what can be a major positive impact in terms of people who are moving and become recently migrant when you consider the two issues.
Mm. And wow, that is something else. And when the reality is, we did it on the show here, Mr. Bob, that there are over 35,000 people who are documented. These are documented immigrants here in Barbados as of 2024, and 35,000. And as someone is saying, and Mr. Bowen is saying that this is all about putting your foot on the election scale, because those new voters are already here. Because we showed you on the on we're going to do it again on Sunday. There are over 35,000 of them already here. And as soon as the legislation is proclaimed, they will be added to the voters list. This is, I know for sure, in the Caribbean, the easiest country for you to be able to become a citizen is Barbados. That's what has happened. Barbados understand that your prime minister, and if this doesn't anger you, I don't know. Your prime minister, they gave away your land, and now gives away your identity. Do you understand? Basically just take it up, because she has, and I can say this, I will say this with all the conviction that is in my body, Apostle and Mr. Bob. The Prime Minister of Barbados has shown no allegiance to this country. None. She has shown more allegiance to a global agenda and to the UN than to Barbados. And that's why it doesn't matter to her. That Barbados passport that you feel so proud to carry doesn't mean anything to her. That's my opinion, based on what I've seen. It doesn't mean anything to Prime Minister Mia Mottley. That's below her. This is the easiest. When I check today, and I'm going to check other countries, but in the Caribbean so far, I was doing some research today, Mr. Bob. We have our passport, to be a citizen of Barbados, to be able to hold one of those passports is easier than any Caribbean country. And that has been made possible, brought to you by Mia Amor Motley, who does not have, in my opinion, it's my opinion, I believe she has zero allegiance to Barbados. Just look at her at the UN. Look at how she positions herself at the UN. When she travels, is it on behalf of Barbados? What is she traveling about? And if we can't see that, why under God's green earth would you want to go change the emblems of the country when nobody asked you? I mean, Mr. Bob, something is really wrong, you know.
I saw a clip today where the Prime Minister of Trinidad is saying to her people, we came back, we went to the Union, the United Nations conference, and we came back and we're going to report to you what we did that will benefit our country. We have not heard anything about that. We came, the Prime Minister of Barbados came back and told us how she's going to win the elections.
Exactly. I mean, Apostle, this whole thing of identity, I don't know what you're going to have to pray for me, because something about it, it just sets off my inside. And I really need to really, try to figure that out. But it sets me off, Mr. Bab, to think that this is the leader of our country that could just give away the people's identity like that. That is crazy. Go, if you don't believe me, go and see how do you become a citizen of Trinidad. Go and research it yourself. Go and research in other countries, and you will see. Right, in 5 to 7 years. No, not this one. 6 months. Go ahead. I don't know who's supposed to speak. We're have to give our final. We stay on the whole night when it comes on to talking about this or me. But go ahead, Apostle, and then Mr. Bob will close.
Let me just say this final part here. Let's look at the reality that, okay, so you're going to have all of these individuals coming into Barbados, and let's look at the concentration of where most of these individuals will be staying in Barbados, because I can guarantee you it's not going to be an equal spread across the entire country, which means that you're going to have to increase the votership in certain constituencies, or you may have to create another constituency, because I think once you get between 8 to 10,000 persons, that there's a need to create another constituency. I might be speaking on the correction, but if you already have 35,000, is that what you said?
Over 35,000 documented immigrants as of 24.
Okay, over 35,000 documented. So let's split that into 7. Okay, let's split that into 7,000, which means, say for instance, you have a concentration of those individuals between St. Michael, Christchurch,
And St. Philip.
St. Philip.
Yes.
Okay, you have to create the Electoral and Boundaries Commission will have to create other constituencies. Now you have to ask yourself the question: what the heck is Barbados going to be doing with over 30 constituencies when there are countries like Trinidad that are larger than Barbados who don't even have that many? Okay, so again, you're going to have a serious open door for more manipulation, which is going to be beyond the knowledge of the people of Barbados. And you have, with this administration, you have all of the key persons in place to make sure that it works well on behalf of this administration. So I'm waiting to see what the Electoral and Boundaries Commission is going to do, or maybe I should say I'm waiting to see what this administration is going to make the Electoral and Boundaries Commission do going forward into the upcoming election. Just waiting to see what's going to unfold.
Boy, Mr. Bob, go ahead. I don't know. I'm not going to sleep too good tonight. I'm telling you the truth.
Nobody should be sleeping and really having a good night's sleep when you take these situations into consideration. And I'm saying that press conference, then I went back and look at the tone. It was saying to, and she was talking about that, the immigration bill. It was like a reassurance to her base. Don't worry, I got this covered. Don't worry, got this covered. So I'm saying to those persons of like mind, like myself, and who will lose sleep because of what is happening, who when they go to the supermarket they return home stressed, who cannot keep up with the amount of legislation that had to be pulled back, who believe that their privacy is being infringed on, that we need to get up And we need to make a solid decision, a concrete decision, that we are going to take our country away from Mia Motley and those persons who are planning with her.
Well said. Well
Yeah,
said. Well
very good.
said, guys. On Saturday, let us come out in our numbers. You know, I'm launching the Azerbaijan. This is the Azerbaijan protest. It's a campaign. Azerbaijan. I'm saying it right. Why you are laughing? It see, I so funny. I so funny. Listen to me. Don't laugh
As a,
at me, man. I'm all emotional. Don't laugh at me. You say it, Mr. Bob.
Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. I trying. Azerbaijan. I tried. Okay.
how you spelling that, Mr. How you spelling that, Mr. Bob?
Listen to me.
How's
Listen
that
to me.
written on paper?
Azerbaijan. IZA.
Azerbaijan.
Okay.
I almost spelled it right. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's my inflection for the Bajan, right? I say Azerbaijan. You're supposed to you go up.
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
Yes.
Azerbaijan. Don't laugh. Anyway.
Don't laugh or cry.
But seriously though, guys, seriously, you know, this is not, it's not even funny, you know. These two bills will change Barbados forever.
Pretty much.
Understand that. They will change Barbados forever. We showed you tonight clearly with just look at the numbers. I said to my husband, numbers, they don't lie. And all you've got to do, you follow the numbers and you see exactly what this is all about. That minimum wage, that chart alone should tell you what time of day this is. They're going to flood inside of here, and they are coming to vote. That's why they're coming. Yeah, they're becoming citizens and they will vote. Guys, this is where we end. Right? This is where we end. And we do hope to see you on Saturday. Don't find any excuse, please. Set aside the time to be there. As hot as the sun is, walk with an umbrella. Wear a hat.
Put away the fear.
Put away your fear.
It's not you who you really fear. It's the government who fears you. The fear is on the other side. That is why we see this manipulation.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
put away the fear.
Put away the fear and come on out to that's our Azerbaijan, our protest. Okay, guys. Thank you, Apostle. Thank you so much, Mr. Bob. It's been always.
Yes.
Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Marsha Hines. Thank you so much.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Yes, it's Jenny back in boss. Yes, he got it in back in back. Yeah. Walk it back. Walk it back. Walk it. The cost of living in BIM, hey, is a sin. It wrecking your back. Even the cost of snacks. They always bring in legislation with tax and more tax. 3 times they bring legislation and I have to walk it back. So the latest one, the tourism accommodation bill.